So there I was, lying in a hospital bed at 40 years old, looking like somebody's grandma who'd been through 2 world wars and a tax audit. The doctor basically said my body was a dumpster fire, liver cancer, late stage, thanks to years of working myself half to death. Well, fully to death, actually. And my lovely in-laws? The people I'd been hand-feeding and pampering for 20 years like they were 2 oversized babies? The second they heard cancer, they did a personality 180 so fast they should have gotten whiplash. Don't bother treating it, dear. Save the money. Just, die efficiently. Real heartwarming stuff. Then a mail carrier walked in. A letter. For me. Who on earth writes letters to a dying woman? I opened it, and my whole world flipped upside down, shook out its pockets, and slapped me across the face. It was from some woman named Qiangwei. She wrote, and I'm paraphrasing here. Hi. I'm your husband's other wife. Yeah, he's alive. Has been this whole time. He faked his death, stole his older brother's identity, married me, and we have 2 kids. Sorry I didn't mention it sooner, but I was worried you'd come wreck my home. Anyway, since you're dying, I figured you deserve to know. Best wishes for your next life. XOXO. XOXO. She actually wished me well. Like she'd just canceled my gym membership, not destroyed my entire existence. My hands were shaking so hard the letter looked like it was doing a little dance. 20 years. 20 years I'd slaved away for Liu Zhoushan's parents, thinking my husband died a hero. Meanwhile, that cockroach was living it up in the capital with wife number 2 and their adorable little family. And suddenly, everything made sense. Why? Big brother Liu Qingming never came home but mailed tiny amounts of money, because he was my husband wearing his dead brother's name like a Halloween costume. Why my in-laws sometimes asked for cash and disappeared for a few days. They weren't on vacation. They were visiting their real favorite son and his secret family. I even wrote a letter once telling Big Brother to stop sending money because I could handle things. I literally volunteered to be a free servant. I was so stupid I should have won an award. And Qiangwei. Oh, she played innocent, but she'd been happily spending money that should have gone to the old couple's care. Every penny Liu Zhoushan saved by letting me feed his parents went straight into their cozy little nest. I wanted to storm over there and burn everything down, but I couldn't even get out of bed. They timed it perfectly. Tell the dying woman the truth when she's too weak to do anything about it. Genius. Evil genius. I laughed. I cried. I spat blood everywhere like a broken fountain. Then everything went dark. Beeping machines. Footsteps. Nurses screaming. And then, I opened my eyes. I was staring at a very familiar ceiling. My ceiling. The old ceiling from the old house with the old decorations. Red thermos by the bed. Wedding characters on the wall, half peeled off. I launched myself at the calendar like a woman possessed. 1980. 20 years back. I was 20 years old again. My brain short-circuited for a solid minute before the joy hit me like a freight train. I'd been reborn. God actually heard my dying wish. Or maybe the universe just felt embarrassed about how badly I'd been scammed. I pieced things together fast. My husband had left for his military mission 2 months ago. Based on my memories, in about 1 week, the news would arrive that he'd died. His parents would cry dramatically, then recover suspiciously fast, because they knew. They knew the dead one was the older brother they didn't care about. Their precious baby boy was alive and thriving. I remembered their send-off speech before the brothers left. Qingming, if there's danger, make sure you protect your little brother. At the time I thought it was just normal parent stuff. Now I realized they were basically saying, older son, feel free to die so the favorite can live. I was their retirement plan. Work me to death for 20 years. Then when I finally kicked the bucket, the golden boy and his secret wife would swoop in for the comfortable finale. Qiangwei, why are you still in bed? My mother-in-law, Wang Shufan, barged in like she owned the place. Which, to be fair, she thought she did. The house isn't cleaned. It's almost lunch. Why haven't you cooked? Old me would have jumped up apologizing. New me? New me looked at this woman, This woman who would one day tell me to just hurry up and die to save money, and felt absolutely nothing. "I'm not feeling well," I said, stretching lazily. "You cooked today, Mom." Her face scrunched up like she'd bitten a lemon stuffed inside another lemon. But my complexion really did look rough, so she huffed and left, muttering that her husband didn't like her cooking. I sat on the bed, took a deep breath, and smiled. Round 2, everybody. This time, the only person Qiangwei is taking care of is Qiangwei. Okay, so let me tell you what happened. My name is Qiangwei, and I just got reborn, like my whole life reset back to the beginning. And let me tell you, I remember everything from my last life. Every single thing. So here's the deal. My husband, Liu Zhoushan? Yeah, he's been living under a fake identity this whole time. His parents, my lovely in-laws Wang Shufan and Lu Minghua, they knew the truth and never told me. They just watched me work like a donkey, making money for them, keeping their house nice and cozy while they sat there like two vampires sucking my life away. But guess what? This time, I'm not playing nice. First thing I did was check if my secret pocket dimension still works. You know, my personal magical storage space? I closed my eyes, opened them. Boom, I'm in. It's completely empty though, just a big bald patch of nothing. Last life it eventually grew a little farm plot, but right now?
Nada.
No farming, no growing stuff. Just empty space. But then it hit me like lightning. Empty space means storage space. So, I made my plan. During the day, I played the perfect little daughter-in-law. Ate breakfast, made dinner, said goodnight, smiled like an angel. Nothing suspicious here, no sir. Then night came. I crept out of my room like a ninja, a very angry ninja, and went shopping. In my own house, without paying. First stop, the old couple's bedroom. They keep their life savings in a box under the bed.
Yoink.
Into my space it goes. Oh wait, what's this? Another box hidden in the corner, sealed up all tight and secret? Must be something good.
Yoink.
Then I hit the kitchen. Meat?
Mine.
Rice?
Mine.
Cooking oil?
Mine.
Spices? You better believe those are mine too. Then the furniture. All of it. I started out being reasonable, just taking the useful stuff. But then I kept thinking about my last life, about all those years of being their personal servant, and honestly, the anger was like a tsunami. I couldn't stop. I was just grabbing everything like a crazy person at a Black Friday sale. Useful?
Take it.
Not useful?
Take it anyway.
If it makes those two old bats cry, it's going in the space. By the end, the house looked like we'd just signed the lease. Completely empty. Just walls and windows. I stood there looking at it and felt so satisfied. But wait, I wasn't done yet. I had one final move. The ultimate power play. I went to the bathroom and took all the toilet paper. Every
last roll.
Because I know those two wake up every morning needing to use the bathroom. Number 2. And now? No paper. Suffer. Then I went to bed and slept like a baby. Next morning, A-H-H-H-H-H. Wang Shufan's scream woke me up like an alarm clock. The most beautiful alarm clock I've ever heard. She started banging on my door screaming my name. Before I could even open it, she burst in. So I screamed too. Gotta stay in character, right? I rubbed my eyes all sleepy-like. Huh? What happened? Where's all my stuff? Then I grabbed her hand, and before she could even speak, I started bawling. Oh no, was it a thief? What did they take? I'm so scared. I was crying so hard I should have won an Oscar. Wang Shufan told me to go look outside. So we walked out together, and oh my, the house was absolutely, beautifully empty. Just wind blowing through the curtains and some trash on the floor. Like a haunted apartment nobody's lived in for years. I almost laughed. Almost. But I caught myself, stumbled backwards dramatically, fell on the floor, and cried even harder. Mom, where's all the furniture? Everything's gone. Then Lu Minghua came out of his room half-dressed, ready to complain about the noise. One look at the empty house and his eyeballs nearly popped out of his skull.
Where?
Where is everything? He ran to the kitchen.
No pots. No pans. No rice.
No oil.
No meat.
Nothing. Thieves, he screamed. Call the police. Call the police. He was pacing around the empty house like a headless chicken. Wang Shufin was slapping her own thighs in distress. And me? I was sitting on the floor crying my heart out. Award-winning performance. Then the neighbor showed up, peeked through the window, saw the completely empty house, and asked with the most innocent face, "Oh, are you guys moving?" I nearly choked trying not to laugh. Wang Shufin's face was priceless. Moving? We got robbed. The neighbor looked around, swallowed hard, and you could see the gears turning in their head. Wait, what kind of thief steals the furniture? What kind indeed? So where was I? Oh, right. The neighbor took one look at our beautifully empty house, and their brain just short-circuited. Their eyes were spinning like slot machines trying to process what kind of legendary thief could clean out an entire house like this. And you could literally see the panic setting in. They were thinking, if this happened to them, could it happen to me? That neighbor bolted home so fast they left a dust trail. I bet within 5 minutes they were hiding their valuables inside their pillowcases and stuffing money into rice jars. Meanwhile, Lu Minghua was standing there rubbing his temples like he was trying to squeeze a solution out of his brain. Nobody touch anything. Don't destroy the crime scene, he announced dramatically. I had to give it to him. The man doesn't know much, but somehow he knows the phrase, don't contaminate the crime scene. Where'd he learn that? Has he been watching detective dramas when I wasn't looking? So off he went to fetch the police, and Wang Shufin and I stayed behind, sitting there looking absolutely devastated. Like two sad, frostbitten eggplants. Oscar-worthy, truly. But inside my head, I was already planning my next moves. If I remember correctly, around this time in my last life, I met this girl, my future business partner. We built something amazing together. I want to find her again. But that's a plan for later. Wang Shufin kept side-eyeing me between sobs. How did you sleep through all of that? Half your room is empty, Mom. I whined back, putting on my best kick-puppy face. What about your room? You didn't hear anything either. What did they take from you? The second those words left my mouth, Wang Shufin shot up like a rocket and sprinted to her bedroom. I casually followed behind, and sure enough, there she was, on her hands and knees, frantically digging around the spot where I'd swiped that box from under the bed. Those murderous thieves! She couldn't find it. She collapsed on the floor, slapping her thighs, crying like the world had ended. Now that reaction told me everything I needed to know. Whatever was in that box, it was valuable. Wang Shufin loves money more than she loves breathing, and she was crying like someone had just canceled her birthday forever. My curiosity was absolutely on fire. I made a mental note. Tonight, open that box. See what's inside. Mom, what's wrong? What was in there? I asked all innocent-like. She just kept crying and wouldn't tell me, which meant it was definitely something good. The more secretive she was, the more expensive that stuff had to be. Oh, this was going to be fun. Then, and this is the part I'd been waiting for, Wang Shufin's stomach started acting up. All that crying and stress got her guts moving, and she grabbed her pants and waddled to the bathroom as fast as her legs could carry her. I watched her go, with a little smile, because I knew what was waiting for her in there. Nothing. Not a single square of toilet paper. I stood outside the bathroom door, counting the seconds.
1, 2, 3.
These heaven-damned thieves. They even stole the toilet paper. Music to my ears. Qiangwei, Qiangwei, bring me paper. There's no paper. I'm stuck down here, and I can't get up. Did I rush to help? Reader, I did not. I pretended I couldn't hear a thing. That woman sat squatting in that bathroom for over 20 minutes. Her legs went completely numb. She was basically fossilizing in there. Then Lu Minghua came back, with 2 actual police officers, and the first thing they heard walking through the door was Wang Shufin screaming from the toilet, "Somebody bring me paper." I haven't wiped yet. The look on those officers' faces? Priceless. Absolutely priceless. Lu Minghua scrambled to find paper. Couldn't find any, obviously. Finally, I strolled in from outside, slow as a Sunday morning, holding a few sheets like I'd gone on a grand expedition to find them. You're welcome, mother-in-law. Wang Shufan came limping out of the bathroom, walking like a broken compass, legs so numb she was zigzagging everywhere. She said later she almost fell backward into the pit. Can you imagine? Falling into your own toilet because a thief stole your toilet paper? That would have been the most embarrassing moment in the history of embarrassing moments. The two police officers walked around the house looking more and more confused with every room. One of them actually asked, "You're sure you're not just moving?" Lu Minghua smacked his own forehead so hard I thought he'd knock himself out. Why would we fake a robbery to move house? Look at this. They took the pots, the pans, the rice, the oil. They don't want us to eat. They're trying to end our family line. And then this grown man started crying. The officers kept investigating, but everything was weird. No broken doors. No broken windows. No signs of forced entry. How did thieves get in? How did they carry out furniture without making noise? How many thieves would it even take? I stood there with my traumatized victim, face on, nodding along sadly. How indeed, officers. What a mystery. They wrote everything down, said they'd do their best to investigate, and left. Lu Minghua caught that wishy-washy language immediately. Do their best is universal code for you're never seeing that stuff again. Wang Shufan wailed like a fire alarm. What are we going to do? Slap, 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 went her hands on her thighs again. Honestly, her thighs must have been bright red by now. The news spread through the entire neighborhood compound faster than gossip at a hair salon. But did anyone come to check on us?
Nope.
They were all too busy hiding their own stuff, terrified they'd be next. The legendary super thief who steals furniture and toilet paper. Nobody wanted to mess with that. So there we sat. 3 people in an empty house. The mood was darker than a rainy funeral. Zhoushan and Qingming aren't home. What are we going to do? Wang Shufan moaned. This thief is trying to destroy us, Lu Minghua added. I sat there listening to them, casually scratching my nose. What were you saying? Something about being destroyed? That's funny, because I seem to remember you two destroying my entire last life and not losing a minute of sleep over it. This is what they deserve. They cried all morning, until finally, their stomachs started growling so loud it sounded like there was a 4th person in the room. Then, just like clockwork, they both turned and looked at me. Qiangwei. What do we do now? We don't even have food for breakfast. Wang Shufan started crying again about all her precious savings being gone. I sighed. A deep, dramatic, perfectly timed sigh.
Okay.
I'll go borrow some money from the neighbors to buy food for today. They perked up like sad puppies hearing the treat bag rustle. And after that, I continued, letting the suspense build. I've been thinking. We got robbed. We have no money. No stuff. There's only one solution. Both of them snapped their heads toward me in perfect unison. Synchronized desperation. What? What's the solution? Tell us. I looked them dead in the eyes. We all need to go out and get jobs. You should have seen their faces when I said, get jobs. Their eyeballs nearly launched out of their skulls like little cannonballs. Both of them stared at me like I'd just told them the sky was green. US? Work? At our age? Oh, please. Wang Shufan is 45. Lu Minghua is 50. The way they were acting, you'd think I asked 2 ancient turtles to run a marathon. I lived to 40 in my last life. That's 20 years into the future from now. And let me tell you, in that future, people their age were out there sweeping streets, hauling boxes, doing just fine. Some of them were in their 50s and 60s and still hustling harder than these 2 ever have in their lives.
But no.
These 2 act like they're made of porcelain, and a light breeze could shatter them. Look, I said, putting on my serious face, Zhoushan and Big Brother are just regular soldiers. Their monthly allowance is barely enough to cover rent. Now everything's been stolen. Are we just not going to buy pots and pans? Are we going to eat with our hands? Cook on the floor? They just sat there looking miserable. I can't feed 3 people by myself. You 2 need to figure something out. I'm going out right now to find work, or we're all going to starve to death. I went to my room, fixed myself up a little, and headed for the door. I'll bring food back later. You 2 think about it. And out I went. Now here's the fun part. Once I got far enough from the house, I found a deserted little alley. The kind of place where even rats don't bother visiting, and slipped into my space. Oh, it was beautiful in there. All those stolen, rightfully reclaimed, goods, piled up like my own personal warehouse. Furniture, pots, rice, meat, mystery boxes. I stood there admiring my collection like a dragon sitting on a pile of gold. I killed some time in there on purpose. Gotta make it look like I was actually out job hunting, then pulled out a few coins. Just enough to buy some cheap food later. Can't have the in-laws thinking money grows on trees now, can I? But the real reason I went out today? I had a date with Destiny. See, if my memory from last life is right, it was around this time that I met her. My girl, my ride or die, my future business partner. Last time around, I was walking down a certain street when some punk snatched a woman's purse. I helped get it back. We started talking and boom, friendship and business partnership. That changed my life. She had a brother who was a military captain, her family had money, and she was looking for someone to team up with. She brought the cash, I brought the muscle and eventually the brains, and together we built something real. So, I headed straight to that same street. And then I waited. And waited. An hour went by. Nothing.
No purses na ching. No dramatic rescue.
Just me standing on a street corner like a weirdo, checking the time every 30 seconds. Come on, universe. I showed up. Where's my girl? I was about to give up. Figured maybe I'd come back tomorrow, try again. Already turning to leave when... Somebody help. He stole my money. My head whipped around so fast I almost gave myself whiplash. And there he was, some scrawny guy booking it down the street with a red wallet, running straight toward me like the universe had gift-wrapped this moment and slapped a bow on it. I grabbed a thick wooden stick from the ground, pressed myself against the wall, and waited. His footsteps got louder and louder and louder until wham. I stepped out and cracked that stick across his face like I was hitting a home run. The guy went down, face first. The wallet flew out of his hand, and I scooped it up before it even stopped bouncing. He looked up at me with murder in his eyes, holding his face. You crazy woman. You'll pay for this. Then he looked around, saw the crowd forming, and scrambled away like a cockroach when you turn the lights on. I turned around with the red wallet, and there she was.
Sukin swang.
Running toward me, one hand on her hip, gasping for air like she'd just sprinted a mile. Same face. Same energy. Same everything. I just, wanted to buy a roasted sweet potato, and I got robbed. I handed her the wallet and my eyes got a little wet. I couldn't help it. You have no idea what this girl meant to me in my last life. She helped me with everything. She tried to set me up with good men after my husband died. She offered me money, opportunities, support, and what did I do? I turned it all down. Every single time. Because I was too busy being the world's most devoted daughter-in-law to two people who were lying to my face. I basically threw away the best friendship I ever had because I was too loyal to people who didn't deserve a single ounce of my loyalty. Not this time. Thank you so much, she said, clutching her wallet. I nodded, keeping my composure. Glad you got it back. I'd love to chat, but I really need to go. I'm looking for a job. I started to walk away, and just like last time, just like a movie I'd already seen, she grabbed my arm. Wait, you're looking for work, here it comes. I actually have a business idea, and I need a partner. Want in? I put on my best shocked face. Me? Really? You'd work with a total stranger? She laughed, that same warm, open laugh I remembered. I don't know why, but looking at you just feels...
right.
Like we've met before somewhere. Girl, you have no idea. Maybe we knew each other in a past life, I said with a little smile, which was literally, factually, 100% true. Let's talk about it over food, my treat, she said. We ended up at a restaurant. Not just any restaurant, it was the same one we used to go to all the time in my last life. Our spot. I sat down and ordered 2 dishes without even thinking. Su Qingshuang grabbed the menu and ordered 2 more, then looked at me with wide eyes. Okay, that's weird. You just ordered my 2 favorite dishes, I smiled mysteriously. It's not weird, girl. I memorized your food preferences over 20 years of friendship. I probably know your order at every restaurant in the city. Let's do proper introductions, she said, sticking out her hand. Su Qingshuang, Gu Qiangwei. We shook hands, just a light, gentle touch, and she grinned at me. I seriously feel like I've known you forever. Like déjà vu or something. Anyway, why are you job hunting? And sitting there across from her, my heart hurt in the best and worst way possible. Because last time, I had this incredible person in my corner, and I wasted it. I chose the wrong people over and over again. But this time, Su Qingshuang, you picked the right partner. And I'm never letting you down again. So Su Qingshuang asked me why I was looking for work, and I gave her the Cliff Notes version. Family emergency, got robbed, need money. Which was technically not a lie.
The family did get robbed.
By me. But she doesn't need to know that part. I want to start a clothing business, she said. Then she waved her hand like a queen dismissing court. But let's not talk shop today. You look exhausted. Let me feed you, then go home and rest. We'll meet tomorrow to discuss the details. I nodded because, honestly, that was exactly what I was thinking. It was getting late, and I still had to go buy groceries for the two vampires sitting in their empty house, probably staring at the walls wondering if they could eat the wallpaper. Oh, about the cooking situation. Yes, I put all the good pots and pans in my space. But I knew those two would figure something out. There was still a cracked iron pot and an old clay jar somewhere in that house. They weren't going to die.
Probably.
Also, I wasn't planning on eating at home anymore anyway. So, who cares what they cook with? Su Qingshuang and I chatted over dinner. Nothing about business, just hobbies, interests, life stuff. It was so nice. Like putting on your favorite old sweater that still fits perfectly. Before we left, she asked for my address. I wrote down 2 on a piece of paper. The top one is where I live now. I'll be moving soon. What I meant was, once the news comes that my husband is dead, I'm out of that house faster than a cat with its tail on fire. But she didn't need the full backstory. We said goodbye, and on my way home I stopped at the market, bought a tiny bit of vegetables and a small bag of rice and flour. Just enough to keep up appearances. Now let me paint you a picture of what was happening back at the house while I was gone. Those two had been starving all day. No breakfast because I took all the food. No lunch because the kitchen was empty. By afternoon, their stomachs were probably eating themselves. They'd been sitting in that barren house, hungry and furious, probably having conversations like, "Where I asked that girl? Is she trying to kill us? She really wants us to get jobs. If people in the compound see us working, they'll laugh at us. That murderous thief. Why did they have to steal everything? Oh, boo-hoo. My heart bleeds. It really does. Can't you tell? But credit where credit's due. They did manage to dig out that busted old pot and the clay jar from whatever corner they'd been abandoned in. Survival instincts activated. I walked through the door, and Wang Shufin transformed. 1 second she's sitting there cursing my existence, and the next she's floating toward me with this big fake smile like I'm a celebrity guest on a talk show. Qiangwei, you're finally back. How did it go today? Did you find a job? She didn't even look at what I was carrying. She didn't care about the food. What she cared about was, can this girl make enough money to feed all 3 of us, so we don't have to lift a finger? I lived with this woman for over 20 years in my last life. I can read her thoughts like a children's book. Big font. Simple words. Every page says the same thing. How can I benefit from this? She was doing the math in her head. If I could land a job paying 30 yuan a month, that would cover all 3 of us. She and Lu Minghua could keep lounging around, and once the 2 sons came back from their military assignments, they'd chip in 10 yuan each, and life would be peachy again. For them. Nope, I said, dropping the rice and flour on the table. No job. I borrowed this from the neighbors. They know we got cleaned out, so they lent us a little. The vegetables I bought with some coins I had left in my pocket that the thief missed. Wang Shufin's eyes immediately lit up like a slot machine. How much money do you have left? 5 mao. That's basically pocket lint. I spent 1 mao on vegetables today.
So?
Almost nothing. I went into the kitchen and sure enough, there was the cracked pot and the clay jar, ready for action. I let out a quiet little laugh to myself. These 2 would find a way to cook if a nuclear bomb went off. Self-preservation runs deep. The pot had a crack on the side, but if you tilted it just right, you could still stir-fry. So I threw the rice in the jar to make porridge, rinse the vegetables, and toss them in the wonky pot with nothing but salt. No oil.
No seasoning. No flavor.
Just sadness on a plate. I found a couple of chipped bowls in a corner, gave myself a tiny portion. I'd already eaten a full meal with Su Qingxuang, after all, slurped it down in 30 seconds, and put my bowl aside. The old couple? They inhaled that food. Starving all day meant even salt-only vegetables tasted like a five-star banquet to them. They scraped that pot clean. The porridge jar was practically licked empty. Hunger is the best seasoning, as they say. Once they had fuel in their bellies, the interrogation began. "But you're so pretty," Wang Shufan said, looking genuinely confused. "And you must be a good worker. How could nobody hire you?" "Yeah," Lu Minghua chimed in, wiping his mouth. "You graduated high school. That's a good education." These two were desperate to believe I could single-handedly become their personal ATM. The idea of them getting jobs was apparently more terrifying than the mysterious super thief. "Well," I said slowly, "there was one job. Urgent, needs someone right away. But it only pays 20 yuan a month, and it's 10-hour shifts." Wang Shufan's face scrunched up like she'd bitten into a lemon. 20? Absolutely not. That's way too low. You can't take that kind of job. Interesting. So 20 yuan is too little when I'm the one working. But apparently any amount is too much effort when it comes to them working. The math really does check out. "Go back out tomorrow," she lectured. "Tell them you have a high school diploma. Tell them you're a hard worker. Tell them you can handle anything." "Oh, I'm a hard worker, all right. I worked hard for 20 years in my last life, building a comfortable nest for these two ungrateful birds, and they repaid me by hiding the truth about my own husband. Does that keep them up at night? Does their conscience ever tap them on the shoulder and say, 'Hey, maybe we should stop exploiting our daughter-in-law'?"
Ah.
What conscience? These are people who helped their younger son steal his dead brother's identity and kept this secret for decades. Their moral compass doesn't just point south. It doesn't exist.
"Fine," I said flatly.
"I'll go ask around again tomorrow." I didn't want to argue. There was no point fighting with people who'd already proven they have the ethical backbone of a jellyfish. So I gave them a throwaway answer and headed to my room. That's when I heard it. The cherry on top of this beautiful day. Wang Shufan's voice, sharp as a knife, cutting through the air behind me. "You're not going to wash the dishes?" I stopped walking. This woman. I just went out all day job hunting. I bought groceries with the last of my money. I cooked dinner in a broken pot. I served them food on chipped bowls. And now, as I'm walking away, her biggest concern is, who's doing the dishes? Some things, reader, truly never change. "You're not going to wash the dishes?" Wang Shufan's voice chased me into the bedroom like a heat-seeking missile. I was already through the door, already done for the day, and this woman was still out there hollering about dishes. I let out a little laugh and called back. "I was out walking all day.
I'm tired."
Good night." Then I shut the door.
Click.
Beautiful silence. Well, not total silence. I could hear the two of them out there muttering and whispering to each other like a pair of scheming pigeons. But I didn't care. Whatever they were plotting, it wasn't my problem tonight. I waited until they shuffled back to their room. Waited until the house went completely quiet. Then into the space I went. Standing there surrounded by all my acquisitions, I took stock of the situation. The space was actually pretty big. Even with all the furniture and kitchen stuff and mystery boxes piled up, there was still a huge empty area left over. Just flat, bare ground stretching out like a parking lot with nothing parked in it. In my last life, a farm plot had magically appeared in here at some point, but I never figured out what triggered it.
And now?
Nothing. Just emptiness. Can this thing really only store stuff? If that's all it does, then fine. Once Su Qingxuang and I get our business rolling, this space becomes the world's most convenient warehouse. Zero rent. Infinite security.
No landlord. Can't beat that.
Speaking of Su Qingxuang, I sat down on one of the stolen, reclaimed chairs and let the memories flood in. In my last life, our business was actually going great. We were killing it in the clothing game. We decided to expand, go bigger, source new wholesale suppliers. We were on our way back from a buying trip when it happened. Someone had been watching us. They knew we'd gone to buy inventory, which meant we had money on us. A group of thieves jumped us. They had knives. We were two young women against armed men. We screamed. We fought. We did everything we could. Then one of them raised his knife and aimed it straight at my chest. And Su Qingshuang stepped in front of me. She took the blade that was meant for me. The thieves panicked when they realized they'd actually stabbed someone. They scattered like roaches. I dropped to my knees and pressed my hands against her chest, trying to stop the bleeding, but it just kept coming, warm and red and unstoppable. I heard sirens, people shouting. Everything was a blur. By the time they got her to the hospital, she'd lost too much blood. The knife had hit something vital.
She died.
My best friend, my partner, the person who believed in me when nobody else did.
Gone.
Because she jumped in front of a knife for me. They caught the thieves eventually. Justice was served, whatever that means. Her family didn't blame me, but I blame myself plenty. I fell apart after that. Completely fell apart. Couldn't eat, couldn't work, couldn't think straight.
Just
existed, like a ghost walking around in a body. Then her brother came to see me. He brought me her diary. She'd written about me, about how happy she was to have met me, about our dream, to build the biggest clothing company, to make something truly great together. She wrote about how much our friendship meant to her. That diary put me back together. I threw myself into the business with everything I had. For her, for the dream we shared, and I actually did it. I became one of the top players in the fashion industry. And then I found out I had cancer, because apparently the universe has a truly sick sense of humor. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Her brother, Su Qingshuang's brother, he was a military captain. A good man. During the years we worked together, I noticed he had feelings for me. He actually told me. Su Qingshuang even tried to play matchmaker, pushing us together with all the subtlety of a charging rhino. But I turned him down. Because, and this is the part where you're allowed to scream at me, I thought I needed to be a devoted widow. I thought my duty was to take care of my in-laws. I thought finding love again would mean neglecting those two wonderful old people who definitely deserved my sacrifice. Those two wonderful old people. The liars. The ones who knew my husband was a fraud and let me waste my life serving them. I turned down a genuinely good man for that. Past life, me was an idiot. Capital I, bold, underlined, highlighted in neon. But this life? Who knows? If that kind of connection comes around again, I'm not going to throw it away for people who don't deserve my loyalty. No promises, no pressure, just keeping my options open this time. Anyway, while I was thinking about all this, I remembered the mystery box. The one Wang Shufan had been crying about like someone had kidnapped her firstborn. I found it in the pile and popped it open.
Oh, my God.
A jade bracelet, a gold hairpin, and a bunch of other little treasures scattered around inside, like pirate loot. Now here's the thing, during this era, you weren't supposed to keep stuff like this. It was forbidden, which meant Wang Shufan had been secretly hoarding these valuables, hiding them from everyone. Miss, we're so poor, had a treasure chest under her bed this whole time. No wonder she was wailing like the world ended when she couldn't find it. Well, finders keepers, Wang Shufan. Or should I say, stealers keepers? These are mine now. Gold and jade only go up in value over the years. I'm sitting on a little retirement fund right here. Plus all the cash they'd been saving. It was a decent amount, honestly. But even so, compared to the 20 years of my life I gave these people in my last life, it's not even close. Consider this the world's most overdue severance package. I poked around the space a little more, made my plans, then came back out, washed up, and went to sleep.
Peacefully.
Like a woman with a secret warehouse full of stolen goods and zero guilt. Next morning, I got up early and made vegetable porridge with yesterday's leftovers. The smell drifted through the house like an alarm clock, and soon enough, the two of them came shuffling out, noses first. I looked at them over my bowl. Mom, Dad, if you're not going to find jobs, we at least need to solve the eating problem. Can you please go to the neighbors and borrow some things? They stared at me like I'd asked them to walk across hot coals. We need a pot at the very least. I pushed. I can figure out the rest. But we need a pot. I could see the gears grinding in their heads. They didn't want to borrow anything. What if people came asking for it back? What if they couldn't repay? What if it was embarrassing? So I threw them a bone. Don't worry. Once I'm making money, I'll pay everyone back. Just tell them you're borrowing it, not me. I'm the new daughter-in-law. Nobody knows me. They'd trust you more. That was calculated, by the way. Making them do the borrowing meant they had to go outside, talk to people, and experience the humiliation of asking for help. Good. Let them feel a fraction of what I felt for 20 years. I scarfed down my porridge, grabbed my things, and headed for the door. Going out to look for work again. Bye. I was halfway down the street before Wang Shufin's voice rang out behind me like a foghorn. Esichi didn't wash the dishes again. That's right, mother-in-law. 2 days of dirty dishes and counting. Start a tally if you want. Back inside, Lu Minghua finished his porridge, plumped his bowl on the table right next to the other unwashed ones, and leaned back. Qiangwei has a point. Go borrow some stuff from the neighbors today. Wang Shufin grumbled, but he cut her off with the most Lu Minghua logic I've ever heard. Whether we borrow it or SHE borrows it. What's the difference? She's the one who'll be paying it back anyway. And there it is, folks. The Lu family motto, passed down through generations. Let Qiangwei handle it. After Lu Minghua dropped that beautiful line, whether we borrow or she borrows, she's paying it back anyway, he waltzed back to his room like a man who'd just solved world hunger. Wang Shufin was left standing in the kitchen, steam practically coming out of her ears, staring at the pile of unwashed bowls. Not one person in this house had washed a single dish.
Not me.
Not her husband. Nobody. So what did she do? Did she wash them? Nope. She decided, if nobody's washing, I'm not washing. Qiangwei will crack eventually. Cute. Real cute. Let the standoff begin. Meanwhile, I was already out the door, heading to meet Su Qingxuang at our agreed spot. We had business to discuss. She sat me down and laid it all out. My mom is in the business world, so I have some connections and resources. I went to college for fashion design, so I'll be the designer. What I need is a partner, someone who looks good, can model the clothes, and is willing to do a bit of everything. Basically. You, she looked at me appraisingly. You're pretty. You're thin. You'd look great in anything I design. I make the clothes, you wear them, we sell them. Start with custom pieces, then scale up if it works. Now in my last life, this is where I made my first mistake. I was too proud to accept an equal partnership. I insisted on being her employee first, working my way up, refusing her offer to lend me startup money. It was noble. It was humble. It was stupid. This time, I had a stolen, liberated, treasure chest full of the Lu family's savings burning a hole in my space. I'm in, I said. And I want to go 50-50. Equal investment, equal shares. Su Qingxuang's eyes lit up. That's exactly what I was hoping for, but I held up a finger. If anyone asks, I'm working for you. My in-laws cannot know I have money invested in this. I just got married, and those two are like hawks watching a mouse. If they find out I have any kind of financial stake, they'll swoop in and try to pick the bones clean. She nodded immediately. Say no more. My mom always told me, a woman must have her own career. That's the only way you can fight back when life comes for you. I liked her mom in my last life. I like her even more now. Your secret's safe with me, she said. As far as anyone knows, you're my employee. Done. With that settled, we started talking details. Location, inventory, timeline, budget, the works. When the conversation turned to where we should set up shop, I dropped my insider knowledge like it was nothing. Longting Street. That's the spot. Su Qingxuang tilted her head. Longting Street. Good foot traffic. Lots of shops already there, which means customers are used to browsing that area. Plus they're building new housing nearby. That neighborhood is going to boom in a few years. What I didn't say was, I know this because our shop was there in my last life and it did incredibly well, but sure, let's pretend I'm just naturally gifted at real estate analysis. She thought about it and nodded. That actually makes a lot of sense. I'll go scout locations and let you know when I find something, We shook on it, and I headed home feeling like a CEO who just closed a merger. A CEO who still had to go cook watery porridge for two ungrateful retirees, but a CEO nonetheless. Now back at the house, the dish standoff. Wang Shufan held out all morning. She was committed. But here's the thing about summer and unwashed dishes. They start to smell. By noon, the house reeked like something had crawled under the floorboards and given up on life. The sour, funky stench of old food sitting in chipped bowls in a hot, empty house.
She caved.
She washed the dishes. But she cursed my name the entire time, scrubbing away while muttering about what an awful daughter-in-law I was. Doesn't cook, doesn't clean, doesn't wash dishes. What kind of woman did my son marry? When I came home that afternoon, she ambushed me at the door. Yesterday, you didn't wash the dishes. Today, you didn't wash the dishes. The house smelled like a garbage dump. I put on my tired face. Mom, I made you breakfast at dawn, then walked around all day looking for work. When am I supposed to wash dishes? I only have 2 hands. I let that hang for a beat, then added, if you two would go find jobs, I wouldn't be so exhausted, and I'd have time for housework. Sound fair? Wang Shufan shook her head so fast it was a blur. I shrugged, turned around, and walked into my room. Conversation over. She stood there sputtering at my back, probably composing a 3-hour lecture in her head, but I was already gone. Door closed.
Done.
I could feel her rage through the wall. She was thinking, before the wedding, this girl was so polite, so helpful.
It was all an ACT.
The real Qiangwei is lazy and selfish. Just wait until my son gets home. He's going to hear about every single
dish.
Oh, Wang Shufan, your son isn't coming home the way you think he is. The next few days fell into a comfortable rhythm. Every morning I'd make something sad and watery for breakfast. Thin porridge, a bit of pickled vegetable, maybe a sad cabbage leaf floating in broth like a tiny green lifeboat. Then I'd announce I was going job hunting and leave. In reality, I was eating full meals with Su Qingxuang at restaurants, doing market research, scouting the competition, and gathering intelligence on the clothing business. Every day I came home and told the old couple, nope, no job today. Sorry. Their faces got longer every day. Their stomachs growled louder every night. 2 people who used to eat well, now surviving on basically flavored water and borrowed scraps. After about a week of this, Lu Minghua finally snapped. One morning, over the saddest bowl of congee ever created, he slammed his hand on the table, bang, and started yelling. This is unacceptable. What are the police doing? They said they'd investigate. It's been a week. Where's our stuff? Aren't they supposed to serve the people? I'm going down there and demanding answers. If they can't find the thief, they should at least help us figure something out. We're going to starve to death at this rate. I raised my eyebrows and casually stirred my porridge. Yeah, you should definitely go ask them. Hold their feet to the fire. I was fanning those flames like a professional arsonist. Because I knew the police had nothing. No broken doors. No broken windows.
No witnesses.
No evidence. The thief had used a magical pocket dimension to teleport everything out of the house. Good luck solving that one, detectives. But hey, at least it would get Lu Minghua out of the house. The man had been sitting around for a week doing absolutely nothing, like a human-shaped piece of furniture, except I'd already stolen all the actual furniture. While I was internally giggling about this, another thought crept in.
Wait.
It's been a week already. Where's the death notice? In my last life, the news about my husband dying came around this time. Military comrades showing up at the door, sad faces, a box wrapped in a flag. That was my ticket to freedom. Once the widow card was played, I had a legitimate reason to eventually leave this house and live my own life. But nobody had shown up yet. What is taking so long? How is this man not dead yet? I know that sounds terrible. I know. But listen, this man stole his dead brother's identity, married me under false pretenses, and let his parents exploit me for decades. The sooner his death is officially announced, the sooner I can stop pretending to be the dutiful wife of a man who is never who he said he was. Come on, Lu Zhoushan.
Just
Cooperate. With destiny.
Please.
I was sitting there mentally willing the universe to speed things up when knock, knock, knock. My eyes snapped to the door like a dog hearing a treat bag. Is this it? Is this it? A tiny firework of excitement went off in my chest, but I smothered it immediately. Poker face. Sad wife face. Clueless face. Activate. I stood up to open the door. Wang Shufin and Lu Minghua shuffled up behind me, confused. Nobody had visited us since the Great Robbery. The entire neighborhood had been avoiding us like we were cursed. The only time Wang Shufin went to borrow things, people practically threw a pot at her and slammed the door. So, who could this be? Wang Shufin was already panicking internally. Oh no. Is it the neighbors wanting their stuff back? We don't have any money. We can't pay anyone. I opened the door. Two men in military uniforms, solemn faces, and in their arms, a box, wrapped in a red flag. The second I saw that box, I knew, but I played it perfectly. Innocent eyes. Polite smile. Hello? Can I help you? Comrade, we're Lu Zhoushan's fellow soldiers. We're here because we have something to tell you. One of them spoke, his voice heavy. Wang Shufin and Lu Minghua appeared behind me, staring at the flag-wrapped box with confusion. What I asked that thing? Why does it look so serious? Go ahead, I said calmly. The two soldiers exchanged a glance. One of them looked down, took a breath, and said, the mission was extremely dangerous. Comrade Lu Zhoushan, in order to protect his fellow soldiers, sacrificed his life. And there it was, the golden ticket, my way out. Now, obviously, I couldn't exactly do a victory dance. I had a role to play. So I took a deep breath and prepared for the performance of a lifetime.
Stay tuned.
The word, sacrificed, hit the air, and, timber, down went the old couple like two bowling pins. Their legs just gave out, and they crumpled to the floor with a synchronized thud. Now, I didn't turn around to look at them. I didn't need to. I could hear the collapse, feel the drama radiating off them like heat from a furnace. And that was my cue. Showtime, Qiangwei. Give them everything. I grabbed the doorframe with one hand, let my knees buckle slowly, and started shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. No, that's impossible. My husband can't be dead. This is a lie, right? Tell me this is a lie. We just got married. Tears? Oh, the tears flowed. I'm talking waterworks. Niagara Falls. I slid down the doorframe dramatically and crumpled to the ground, joining the old couple in what was now a three-person puddle of grief on the floor. Wang Shufin suddenly snapped her head up, eyes wild. Wait, who died? Say the name again. It was Comrade Lu Zhoushan. The military has awarded a compensation of 500 yuan in recognition of his sacrifice for the country. We hope his family can live well. His body was recovered from the battlefield, but it was beyond recognition. So we've brought back his ashes. The soldier held out the box. I was crying so hard I was practically passing out, so Wang Shufin reached out and took it first. She held that box, her son's ashes, wrapped in a red flag, and tears dripped off her chin onto the floor like a leaky faucet. Zhoushan, how could you die? I told you to be careful on missions. Now here's what makes this whole scene absolutely delicious. Wang Shufin was crying for her little son, the one who'd been living under big brother Lu Qingming's identity. She thought her baby boy was in that box. And yeah, it was genuinely sad for her, I'll give her that. Lu Minghua looked like he'd aged 15 years in 15 seconds. Just sitting on the ground, hollow-eyed, like someone had reached inside him and scooped out his soul. Then Wang Shufin's brain flickered back on. What about my older son? Lu Qingming? Comrade Lu Qingming was severely injured but is receiving treatment at a hospital near the mission site. He'll return to the unit once he recovers. Translation for those keeping score at home. The real Lu Zhoushan, the one pretending to be Lu Qingming, was alive. The actual Lu Qingming was the one who died on the battlefield. But the old couple knew the truth. They knew the Lu Qingming who survived was actually their precious younger son, wearing his dead brother's name like a costume. So when they heard Lu Qingming is fine, what they actually heard was, our baby boy is alive. And yet they kept crying. Partly for show, partly because their older son was genuinely dead. Just not the one everyone thought. What a mess of a family. Meanwhile, I was leaning against the door doing my best, devastated young widow impression. Tears streaming, lips trembling, the whole package. The neighbors, naturally, came swarming out like ants at a picnic. They'd heard all the crying and probably thought, "Dear God, did they get robbed again?" When they found out the real story, young husband killed in action, the reactions were mixed. Some were sympathetic. Some were, well, let's just say Wang Shufin had spent years strutting around the compound bragging about her 2 military sons. "My Joshan is so talented. He'll be a captain someday. My boys are both soldiers. We're going to live so well." She'd been insufferable about it, apparently. Even talked down other people's kids to make her shine brighter. So now, watching her wail on the floor clutching an ash box. Some of those neighbors were feeling things that weren't entirely sympathy. But nobody said anything out loud, of course. The man was a soldier. He died serving his country. You keep your petty thoughts to yourself and nod respectfully. That's the rule. After the soldiers finished everything they needed to say, they saluted and left. The neighbors whispered among themselves for a bit. Can you believe it? First robbed blind, now this. Then scattered back to their homes before anyone could overhear them gossiping about a dead military man. Once everyone was gone, I slowly closed the door, still crying my beautiful, tragic tears. Then I placed the envelope with the 500 yuan compensation money on the table. Now, let me be crystal clear about why I put it on the table. It wasn't generosity. It wasn't "here, you should have this." No, no, no. It was strategy. I put it there so I could take it later in a way that wouldn't raise suspicion. Plant the seed now, harvest later. These people cheated me out of 20 years of my life. They let me slave away for them while hiding the truth about my own marriage. 500 yuan? That doesn't even cover the interest on what they owe me. And what did Wang Shufin do? She walked past the table carrying her son's ashes, and in one smooth, practiced motion, like a pickpocket on a crowded street, she scooped that envelope right into her pocket. Lu Minghua saw it, said nothing. Of course. The three of us sat around the borrowed folding table and cried together. The old couple was sobbing uncontrollably, and I had my head buried in my arms, making all the right sounds. Here's the thing though, I started out fake crying. Pure performance. But then the memories from my last life came flooding in, and suddenly it wasn't fake anymore. I was crying for real. Not for Lu Zhoushan. That fraud could rot for all I cared. I was crying for me, for the 20 years I wasted. For every time I chose loyalty to these people over my own happiness. For turning down Su Qingshuang's brother. For missing out on love, on life, on everything. I cried until my eyes were swollen and my chest ached. But you know what? It felt good. Like squeezing poison out of a wound. I was crying out all the pain from my past life, wringing myself dry like a sponge so I could start fresh. After this, no more tears. Only good days ahead. Anyone who tries to hurt me this time around is going to hit a wall. We cried for about 2 or 3 hours total. The neighbors could hear us through the walls and were sighing to themselves. There they go again. Then, right on schedule, Wang Shufin's stomach growled. Because apparently grief has a time limit, and that limit is when your belly starts talking. We should eat something, she sniffled. Then, turning to me, Qiangwei, go buy some vegetables. Just a little. Your father and I can barely eat anything right now. Can barely eat. Sure, Wang Shufin.
Sure, Mom.
I don't have any money. She reluctantly pulled out the 5 yuan she'd borrowed from a neighbor and handed it over. Just get something simple. I took the money and left, giving them some time alone. Walked around for a while, dried my face, let them have their private grief, or whatever version of grief you have when you know the real son is actually alive and just wearing a dead man's name tag. When I got back, I cooked. Made a show of being distracted, dropping things, staring into space, the classic grieving widow in the kitchen performance. The old couple watched me and said nothing. I'd bought a small piece of fatty pork, rendered it down into crackling bits, and tossed those crispy little oil bombs into the vegetables. When I served it, the old couple, the same 2 people who said they couldn't eat, absolutely demolished that food. Mouths glistening with pork fat, chopsticks moving at Olympic speed, cheeks stuffed like chipmunks. We can barely eat anything. My left foot. I watched them from across the table with a cold little smile hiding behind my chopsticks. Because I knew something. In my last life, they'd gone through this exact same grief performance, and within a surprisingly short time, they'd bounced right back. I used to think it was because they were strong people who'd accepted their son's death with dignity.
Nope.
They recovered quickly because they knew the dead one was the older son, the one they cared about less. Their precious baby boy was alive and well, just operating under a stolen name. Hard to stay heartbroken when you know your favorite kid is still breathing. So go ahead, you two. Cry your crocodile tears. Eat your pork fat.
Put on your little show.
Because MY show. Mine is just getting started. I finished dinner and didn't say a word about the compensation money. Not one peep. I just sat there, eating quietly, watching Wang Shufan clutch that ash box like it was a winning lottery ticket. Which, in a way, it kind of was. For her. I went in my room, slipped into my space for a bit, just to decompress. Even though the space was empty, it felt more like home than anywhere else. Peaceful. No scheming in-laws.
No fake crying.
Just me and my warehouse of stolen goods and silence. When I came back out, I could hear the old couple through the walls, and boy, they were really letting it rip. Wang Shufan was wailing. Old man, why couldn't it have been the older one who died? Why did it have to be our Zhoushan? Then she started working herself into a full rage spiral. It's the older brother's fault. He must not have protected Zhoushan. That's the only reason our baby is dead. Lu Minghua jumped right on that train, eyes blazing red. When that boy comes home, I'm going to demand answers. Why didn't he protect his little brother? Why didn't he die instead? I lay in bed listening to this and just shook my head. These two didn't know yet. They thought their precious younger son was in that ash box, and the useless, older one survived. They were literally cursing the dead son for not dying harder, so the living one could be safe. The cosmic irony was so thick you could spread it on toast. Because the truth they'd eventually figure out, was that the dead one was the older brother. Lu Qingming. The stupid one. The useless one. The one they wished had died instead. Well, congratulations. Your wish came true. You just don't know it yet. And once they do figure it out, watch how fast those tears dry up. In my last life, they bounced back from this tragedy suspiciously quickly. At the time, I thought they were just resilient. Now I know it's because they found out their favorite kid was alive, and suddenly 500 yuan of free money for a son they didn't care much about was actually a pretty sweet deal. Parents of the year, folks. Truly. They went on ranting for a while. Why not the older one? The younger one was so smart. So clever. The older one is dumb. He'll never get promoted. He'll never make captain. Will never live the good life now, and eventually ran out of steam. I fell asleep to the sound of their self-pity fading into snores. Next morning, I woke up, saw they were still in bed, and thought, you know what? No breakfast today. Feed yourselves, you able-bodied 45 and 50-year-olds. I walked straight out the door and headed to meet Su Qingshuang. She was already waiting at the entrance to Longting Street, waving at me like a golden retriever spotting its owner. Over here, she'd been scouting shop locations the past couple days and had narrowed it down to a few options. Today was decision day. She handed me a steamed bun and a boiled egg. Breakfast on the go. Once we pick our shop, I'll take you somewhere nice to celebrate. I bit into the bun and followed her down the street. She pointed out 2 storefronts near the entrance. Decent spots. Good visibility. But I already knew where we needed to be.
Let's check the one deeper inside, I said.
She led me further down the street, past the hair salons and breakfast joints, and there it was. Our shop. The same location where we'd built our empire in my last life. Standing there looking at that dusty storefront, I felt a wave of emotion hit me that I wasn't expecting. Some things really do come full circle. This one's better, I said, keeping my voice steady. The front 2 are surrounded by food stalls. A clothing store would stick out like a sore thumb. But back here? Beauty salons, shoe shops, handbag stores. Women come here for beauty treatments, then they want to browse. This whole area is going to become a fashion district eventually. I said that last part like it was a hunch. It was not a hunch. I'd literally lived through it. In a few years, a massive shopping mall would go up nearby, and our shop would be sitting right outside it. Prime real estate. Location, location, location. Su Qingshuang thought it over for about 3 seconds. You know what? You're right. Let's do this one. The rent's basically the same anyway. We tracked down the landlord, a mild-mannered teacher with black-rimmed glasses and a briefcase full of books. His wife's family had left him the shop, and he just wanted some steady rental income to save for his kid. Nice guy. Fair price. We haggled him down just a tiny bit more since we wanted a longer lease, and he handed over the keys before rushing off to work. We opened that door and, poof, a cloud of dust hit us like a sandstorm. Cobwebs everywhere. Grime on every surface. The previous tenant had run a beauty salon that went belly up and apparently just walked away without cleaning a single thing. Su Qingshuang went out and bought cleaning supplies while I started ripping down cobwebs like a woman possessed. We scrubbed, swept, and wiped until the place started looking like an actual room instead of a haunted attic. The walls needed fresh paint. Su Qingshuang suggested hiring someone. Nah, we can do it ourselves, I said. I know how. We just need to buy the materials. Her eyes went huge. You can paint walls? You're like a Swiss Army knife. I need to learn this. We're going to open tons of stores and paint all of them ourselves. I raised an eyebrow. She froze. We looked at each other, and then we both just burst out laughing. Okay, she giggled. When we're rich, we'll hire 100 people. Painters, cleaners, the works. God, I missed this. This is what friendship is supposed to feel like. Over lunch, I sketched out a design for the shop interior. Now, I may not be a professional designer, but I'd spent 2 lifetimes looking at clothing stores. I combined the best elements from everything I'd ever seen. The sleek modern layouts from 20 years in the future mixed with what was achievable right now on a shoestring budget. Su Qingshuang looked at my sketch and literally started clapping. You could be a designer. This is incredible. If we build the shop like this, we're going to crush it. That's Su Qingshuang for you. Your biggest cheerleader. The kind of friend who'd hand you a brick if you said you were going to fight someone. Last life, she died protecting me. A knife meant for my chest went into hers. I looked at her across the table, laughing and planning and dreaming, and I made a silent promise. This time, I will protect you. No one touches you. We're building that fashion empire together, and you're going to be alive to see it. We spent the rest of the day buying supplies, hauling materials, and planning. By evening, I was genuinely exhausted, the good kind of tired, the kind that comes from building something real. Then I walked through my front door and stopped dead. There sat Wang Shufin and Lu Minghua at their borrowed folding table, eating dinner. With meat on the table. Actual, real, seasoned meat. The second they saw me, their faces went weird. Guilty weird. Like 2 kids caught eating candy before dinner. I knew exactly what had happened. They'd cracked open that 500 yuan compensation money. The money meant to honor their dead son. And they'd used it to buy pork. Their son's ashes were literally sitting on the table next to them while they stuffed their faces with meat bought with his death money. But did I explode? Did I lecture them? No. I pulled up a chair, sat down calmly, and dropped the bomb I'd been saving all day. Mom. Dad. Since you two seem to be feeling a little better now, they looked up, chopsticks frozen midair. I'd like to discuss something. The 500 yuan compensation money. How exactly are we planning to split that? So there I was, sitting across from 2 people with pork grease on their chins, asking the one question they absolutely did not want to hear. The compensation money. How are we splitting it? You could have heard a pin drop. Their chopsticks froze. Their eyes went wide. You'd think I'd just ask them to donate a kidney. Now, let me explain what happened next, because this is where things got spectacular. The old couple did exactly what I knew they'd do. They refused to give me a single coin. Not 1. 0. Zilch. The whole 500 yuan was theirs, they said. Their son died for it, so it belonged to them. But also, and this is the beautiful part, they still expected me to stay, work, cook, clean, and fund their retirement until the day they died. Let me make sure you're following the math here. They wanted to keep all the money and have me be their personal servant/ATM for the rest of their lives. All the benefits, none of the costs. The ultimate buy nothing, get everything deal. In my last life, I actually accepted this arrangement. I was that stupid. I let them keep everything and still devoted my entire existence to taking care of them. This time we were going to do things differently. Wang Shufan, being Wang Shufan, decided to take the fight public. She started crying and wailing in front of the neighbors, playing the victim card so hard she nearly bent it in half. My son just died, and this ungrateful girl wants to leave. She wants our money. She was doing her signature move, sitting on the ground, slapping her thighs, sobbing at maximum volume. The full Wang Shufan experience. But here's the thing. I'd been studying this woman for 2 lifetimes. I knew every move in her playbook.
And now?
I was going to use her own techniques against her. I sat down on the ground. I started crying. I started slapping my thighs. I went full mirror mode. They want to keep all the compensation money and make me take care of them. How is that fair? I was wailing so loud the neighbors 3 streets over probably heard me. I married their son, and he went to war the same day. We never even consummated the marriage. I went from being an innocent young bride to a widow overnight. The tears were flowing. Real ones mixed with strategic ones. I was painting myself as the most tragic figure in the history of tragic figures. Not only that, they won't give me a single yuan from the compensation, but they expect me to work, earn money, come home, do all the housework, and support them for the rest of their lives. While they sit around doing nothing, I turned to the gathered neighbors with red, swollen eyes. Aunties, I ask you, is this fair? Is this reasonable? The crowd turned. Oh, how the crowd turned. She's right. The compensation money belongs to the wife and the parents. They should at least give her a share. If I were her, I'd leave too. Poor girl didn't even get a wedding night, and now she's supposed to be their slave. They want to have their cake and eat it too. That's just greedy. Wang Shufan's face went through about 17 shades of red. She started screaming. She has to take care of us. We spent so much money on the wedding. She's our daughter-in-law. It's her duty. One neighbor, bless this woman forever, looked Wang Shufan dead in the eye and said, "Listen, old sister. If you want her to be your daughter-in-law and take care of you, then the compensation money is partly hers too. That's the law. You can't have it both ways. Either she's family and gets her share, or she's not family and doesn't owe you anything. Pick one." Boom. Logic bomb. Direct hit. Wang Shufan's brain was visibly short-circuiting. I could practically see the gears jamming. Because here was her dilemma. If she admitted I was the legitimate widow, she'd have to share the money. But if she denied my status to keep the money, she'd lose her free caretaker. She was trapped, and she knew it. But did she make the smart choice? Of course not. This is Wang Shufan we're talking about. Not a chance. This is my son's blood money. Nobody touches it but us. She chose the money. She will always choose the money. I stood up, wiped my tears with perfect dramatic timing, and delivered my closing argument to the audience. I told them, if you want me to stay and take care of you, at least give me 1/3 of the compensation. That's only 166 yuan. That's all I asked for. I could see Wang Shufan doing the math behind her furious eyes. 166 yuan gone. Qiangwei only makes 20 a month. Minus her own expenses, that's only 10 yuan coming back to us per month. It would take over a year to recoup the loss. And then the real fear. What if we give her the money and she just runs? Smart woman, honestly. Because that's exactly what I was going to do. But she didn't need to know that yet. Never, Wang Shufan shrieked. She's a scammer. She married into our family just to steal our money. I walked to the doorway, picked up my things, the few belongings I'd strategically not put into my space, and turned to face the neighbors one last time. Aunties, please be my witnesses today. It's not that I refuse to take care of my in-laws. It's that they refuse to treat me fairly. If Wang Shufan ever badmouths me in the future, please remember what you saw here today. I let out one final, perfectly timed sigh of sorrow. Then I walked out. The neighbors parted for me like the Red Sea. Every single one of them stepped aside and let me through, shooting dirty looks at Wang Shufan as I passed. Some were shaking their heads. Some were whispering to each other. All of them were on my side. Behind me, Wang Shufan was losing it. Full meltdown. Nuclear level. Qiangwei, you're a liar. A fraud. A marriage scammer. She screamed until she ran out of breath. The neighbors, tired of the show, turned around and went home one by one. Nobody was listening anymore. When everyone was gone, and it was just her and Lu Minghua standing in their empty, furnitureless house, she finally stopped screaming and switched to scheming mode.
Fine.
Let her go back to her parents' house. We don't need her. She patted the pocket where the 500 yuan sat. We have this money. We can survive until Qingming comes home from the army. Then we'll find him a new wife, someone more obedient, and the two of them can work together to support us. Lu Minghua nodded along because that's what Lu Minghua does. Wang Shufan's plan was crystal clear. Lose one daughter-in-law, keep all the money, wait for the surviving son, get a replacement wife, and resume the retirement plan. What she didn't know was, 1. The surviving son was actually her younger son, living under the dead older son's name. When he came back, he wouldn't be the obedient, dumb eldest boy she was expecting. He'd be the cunning little weasel she'd raised. 2. I had already emptied their house of everything valuable, including their life savings, a jade bracelet, and a gold hairpin. 3. I had a secret magical warehouse, a brilliant business partner, a shop on Longting Street, and 20 years of future knowledge. And 4. I was never, ever coming back. Walk away, Qiangwei. Don't look back. The good life starts now. Freedom tasted incredible. I walked away from that house, away from those 2 leeches, and headed straight to my parents' old place, my childhood home. The one I'd kept specifically for situations like this. Well, not exactly like this, since I didn't exactly plan on being reborn and robbing my in-laws blind in my first life. But you know what I mean. The house was dusty, but intact. Everything my family had left me was still there, furniture, dishes, bedding. Just covered in a thick layer of, nobody's lived here in a while. I grabbed a broom and went to town. Swept the floors, wiped every surface, cleaned until the place looked livable again. Standing in the middle of my own home, surrounded by my own things, breathing my own air, no Wang Shufan screeching about dishes, no Lu Minghua grunting about money. I felt like I'd just been released from prison. This was my house. My life. Starting now. But wait. There was one last piece of unfinished business. The 500 yuan. Wang Shufan had pocketed that envelope faster than a magician making a coin disappear. And I was not about to let her keep it. That money was partly mine by law, widow's share of a soldier's death compensation. But more importantly, after what these people did to me across 2 lifetimes, that money was my severance pay. So that night, I snuck back. Key still in my pocket.
Crept up to their door like a shadow.
But here's the genius part. I didn't even need to go inside. I used my space's transferability to pull the envelope right through the wall and into my pocket dimension.
Yoink. 500 yuan. Gone.
Like it was never there. I held that envelope up and let out a satisfied little laugh. In my last life, I gave these people everything. My youth, my career opportunities, my chance at love, and they repaid me with lies. No amount of money could make up for that. But this was a start. Now, since the real Lu Zhoushan was actually alive out there wearing his dead brother's face, I felt absolutely zero guilt. Let him come home and deal with his parents. Let him figure out how to feed 2 hungry retirees who refuse to work. That's his circus and his monkeys now. I placed my key in the drawer of my old room, very deliberately, very carefully, so that when they inevitably accused me of theft, there'd be proof that I'd returned it. Then came the fun part. I needed to lock the front door from the outside without a key. And this, dear reader, is where my extensive knowledge of Detective Conan paid off. 2 lifetimes of watching that show, and I finally got to use a trick from it. I looped a string around the inside lock mechanism, threaded it under the door, and pulled it from outside until the lock clicked shut. Then I yanked the string free.
Door locked.
No key needed. No evidence left behind. Thank you, Conan Edagawa. Your 900 episodes were not watched in vain. I disappeared into the night like a very satisfied ghost. The next morning, oh, I wish I could have been a fly on that wall. Wang Shufan woke up, made some porridge because that's literally all they could afford now, and sat down with Lu Minghua for a strategy session. Okay, she said between slurps. Here's the plan. We take the 500 yuan, buy some furniture, get new pots and pans, and hold out until Qingming comes home from the army. And when he does come home, she continued, eyes narrowing, we grill him. Why didn't he protect his brother? Why did he survive? We make him feel so guilty that he spends the rest of his life taking care of us out of pure shame. Lu Minghua slammed his fist on the table in agreement. He owes us. If he won't support us, we'll go to the military base and make a scene. We're his parents. These two were already planning their next victim. One daughter-in-law escapes, and they're immediately scheming how to guilt-trap the surviving son into becoming their new cash cow. The audacity. Wang Shufan finished her porridge, wiped her mouth, and marched into the bedroom to get the money. She searched the pocket where she'd put it. Nothing. She checked the other pocket. Nothing. She checked the floor.
The bed.
Under the pillow. Behind the borrowed furniture. Nothing. Old man. The envelope. The money. It's gone. Lu Minghua launched out of his chair like he'd been ejected from a fighter jet. The two of them tore that house apart. What little they had left, which wasn't much, thanks to yours truly, got flipped, shaken, and turned upside down.
No envelope. No 500 yuan.
No nothing. Lu Minghua ran to the police station so fast, he probably broke a land speed record. The officers' faces when he walked in must have been priceless. You again? Yes, me again. We've been robbed. Again. The police came over, took one look at the situation, and were genuinely baffled. This family had been robbed so many times it was starting to feel like a sitcom. It was my son's death compensation, Wang Shufan wailed. 500 yuan. His life traded for that money and now it's gone. Then, ding ding ding, the light bulb went on in her head. It was Qiangwei. She spun toward the officers with wild eyes. It has to be her. My daughter-in-law. She left yesterday after a huge fight. She has a key to this house. She stole it. She launched into a full dramatic retelling of my crimes, how I refused to take care of them, how I demanded money, how I was clearly a con artist who had married into their family just to rob them. The neighbors, who had gathered for what was now becoming a regular entertainment event at the Liu household, exchanged glances. Some of them actually nodded along. Maybe it was me? I mean, it did look suspicious. Go arrest her. Search her. The money must be on her. Wang Shufan was practically frothing. So one of the officers came to my house, knocked on the door. Very polite, very professional. Comrade Gu, we're investigating a report about missing compensation funds from the Liu residence. I put on my most cooperative, innocent face. Oh, how terrible. Yes, I left yesterday after the disagreement. But I left my key in the drawer of my old room before I went. I don't have any key to that house anymore. The officer nodded, wrote some notes, and went back to the Liu house. It was her, right? She has the money? Arrest her. Wang Shufan was practically vibrating. She says she left the key behind. In her room's drawer. Lies. She's a liar. Which room was hers? Let's check. The old couple dragged the officer to my former bedroom. He opened the drawer. And there, sitting in the bottom of the lowest drawer, gleaming like a tiny golden middle finger, was the key. Right where I said it would be. Wang Shufan's mouth opened. Then closed. Then opened again. Like a fish that just realized the water was gone. The door had been locked. The key was inside. No windows broken. No signs of entry. The money had simply vanished. Just like the furniture.
Just like the pots and pans. Just like the toilet paper.
The phantom thief of the Liu household had struck again. And this time, she was never coming back. Oh, this was getting good. So there stood Wang Shufan, mouth hanging open, staring at that key sitting in the drawer like it had personally betrayed her. The police officer picked it up, turned it over, and delivered the verdict with the calm logic of a man who deals with nonsense for a living. The key is here. That means Comrade Gu didn't come back to steal anything. He paused to let that sink in. Think about it. Even if she snuck back in the middle of the night, took the money, and then put the key back in this drawer, how did she lock the door from the outside? How did she get out of a locked house? Lu Minghua's eyes darted to the front door. He shuffled over and examined the bolt, the inside bolt, the one they always slide shut before bed. It was in its normal position. He remembered clearly. This morning, he had to unbolt the door to go outside and report the theft. Which meant nobody had opened that door last night. The door was locked. The bolt was latched. The key was in the drawer. And the money had simply evaporated. Outside, the neighbors were having a field day. Poor Qiangwei. Yesterday they refused to give her any money, and today they're accusing her of stealing it. The key was right there. How's a young woman supposed to get into a bolted house? Walk through walls. Maybe this is karma. Heaven finally got tired of watching them bully that poor girl. Wang Shufan spent years bragging about her sons becoming captains and generals, talking about moving into the military family compound. And now look at her. Empty house, dead son, daughter-in-law gone. Maybe the universe is sending a message. That girl didn't even get a wedding night. She went from bride to widow in one day. And they still wouldn't share a penny with her? They deserve this. Meanwhile, inside Lu Minghua's brain, something was happening. You could practically see the rusty gears turning, sparks flying, smoke coming out of his ears. He was thinking, really thinking, maybe for the first time in years. The first robbery, the entire house cleaned out overnight. 3 people sleeping. Nobody heard a thing. No broken doors, no broken windows. Not a single neighbor saw anything. The police found no evidence. This robbery, the door was bolted from the inside. The key was in the drawer. The money vanished from a sealed room. How many thieves would it take to move an entire house worth of furniture in one night without making a sound?
10?
20? And nobody saw a single one of them? The answer hit him like a bucket of ice water. He spun around, eyes wide, face pale as a ghost, which was ironic given what he was about to say. It's a ghost. We're being haunted. It's a ghost. Wang Shufan froze mid-rant. Her mouth was open to curse me out again, but Lu Minghua's words stopped her cold. Because, actually, now that she thought about it, he did have a point. Think about it. Lu Minghua was pacing now, waving his arms like a man who'd just cracked the Da Vinci Code. Last time, an entire house emptied in one night.
No noise.
No broken locks.
No witnesses.
That's not a thief. That's not possible for a thief. And this time, the door was bolted. The key was inside. The money vanished from a sealed room. What human being can do that? There's only one explanation. He pointed dramatically at nothing in particular. Ghosts. Wang Shufan's face went from angry to terrified in about half a second. She grabbed the police officer's arm with both hands. He's right. It has to be ghosts. You have to help us. The officer looked deeply uncomfortable. Comrades, please. Let's not engage in futile superstition. This isn't superstition, Wang Shufan shrieked. You explain it then. How does a thief move an entire house of furniture in one night without waking 3 people or being seen by a single neighbor? How? The officer opened his mouth, then closed it, then opened it again.
He
didn't actually have an answer for that. And the money. Lu Minghua jumped back in. A locked door. A bolted latch. The key in the drawer. Where did 500 yuan go? Did it grow legs? The 2 officers looked at each other. One of them shifted his weight. The other one suddenly seemed very interested in his own shoes. Because, honestly, when you laid it all out like that, it was pretty creepy. An entire house emptied without a trace. Money vanishing from a sealed room. No evidence.
no witnesses. No logical explanation.
The neighbors, who had been eavesdropping with maximum enthusiasm, went quiet. You could see the realization spreading across their faces like a slow wave of horror. You know, he's not wrong. How did they move all that furniture without anyone hearing? And the money thing. The door was bolted from inside. Oh no. Oh no. Then someone said the magic words. The ashes. The son's ashes. They brought them home, didn't they? Dead silence. The ghost came back with the ashes. More dead silence. Old people always say the dead return during the first 7 days. The son died on the battlefield, got cremated, ashes shipped back home. By the time they arrived, it would have been right around the 7th day. He came home. He literally came home. A gust of wind chose that exact moment to blow through the empty house, rattling the windows and whooshing through the bare rooms. Everyone, and I mean everyone, including the 2 police officers, felt a chill run down their spines. The neighbors took one collective step backward. Then another. Then they bolted. Scattered like pigeons from a firecracker. A few of them regrouped a safe distance away, huddling together. Their dead son's ghost is haunting the house. That's why the furniture disappeared. That's why the money vanished. He's angry. He died on the battlefield and came back to punish them. Maybe he's angry because they treated his wife so badly. Or maybe he heard them saying they wished he had died instead of his brother. Oh, this was absolutely priceless. Now, I was obviously not there to witness any of this personally, but I heard all about it later. And let me tell you, sitting in my clean, quiet childhood home, eating a decent meal, knowing that my ex-in-laws were currently convincing an entire neighborhood that their dead son's ghost was haunting them, that was better than any TV show ever made. The ghost theory. They came up with a ghost theory. And the beautiful part? It was bulletproof. Every single piece of evidence, the locked doors, the undisturbed bolts, the key in the drawer, the impossible furniture theft, pointed away from any human explanation. Because the real explanation, a reborn woman with a magical pocket dimension, was so far outside the realm of possibility that angry ghost was actually the more logical conclusion. The police couldn't explain it. The neighbors couldn't explain it. Wang Shufan and Lu Minghua definitely couldn't explain it. So ghost it was. And you know what the funniest part was? They were blaming the ghost of Lu Zhoushan, the son they thought was dead. But the real Lu Zhoushan was alive, pretending to be his brother somewhere in a military hospital. The actual dead person, Lu Qingming, was the son they'd been trash-talking for years. The stupid one. The useless one. The one they wished had died. So, in a way, if there was a ghost, it would have been Lu Qingming's. And honestly, after the way his parents treated him, he'd have every right to haunt them. But there was no ghost. There was just me, Gu Qiangwei, the phantom thief, the one-woman haunting, armed with a magical pocket dimension, 2 lifetimes of grudges, and absolutely 0 regrets.
Boo.
So Wang Shufan chased the police officers out the door, caught the tail end of the neighbor's ghost theory, and her face went from angry to terrified faster than you can say, supernatural. Because here's the thing about Wang Shufan, she grew up in a village. She'd heard the old folks' ghost stories her whole life. Tales of spirits following their remains home, of the dead returning during the first 7 days, of restless souls seeking revenge. She'd always half-believed that stuff, and now, standing in her empty, echoing house with her son's ashes on the table and 500 yuan mysteriously vanished from a sealed room, yeah, she was spooked. She started spinning around in circles, bowing in every direction like a broken compass, pleading with the air. Zhoushan, if that's you, if you took the money, please give it back. Your father and I are broke. We can't even eat. And if we're dead, who's going to burn paper money for you? She was literally trying to negotiate with a ghost, bargaining with thin air, making a financial argument to her dead son's spirit about the importance of returning stolen funds. I wish I could have seen it. I really, really do. Meanwhile, Lu Minghua had given up on life. He dragged himself back inside, collapsed into a chair, and just
Sat there.
staring at nothing. The mental math was devastating. House. Empty. Savings. Stolen. Compensation money. Vanished. Daughter-in-law. Gone. Favorite son. Dead. Remaining son. The dumb one who hasn't come home yet. Neighbors. Terrified of our haunted house. Police. Useless. Future. Non-existent. And the worst part, the part that was really eating him alive, was the regret. If they'd just given me 1/3 of that compensation money yesterday, I would have stayed. I would have been their meal ticket. But no, Wang Shufan had to clutch those 500 yuan like they were the last lifeboat on the Titanic, and now the money was gone, and the daughter-in-law was gone. They'd managed to lose both. The neighbors, meanwhile, weren't coming anywhere near their house anymore. Before, they were avoiding the Liu family because of the mysterious super thief. Now, they were avoiding them because the house was haunted. Nobody was going to lend them money. Nobody was going to bring them food. Nobody wanted ghost cooties. The Liu household had become the neighborhood's official haunted house, and it wasn't even October. As for the police, those two officers practically speed-walked away from the scene. Once they were far enough that the ghost energy couldn't reach them, one of them finally spoke up. That family situation is seriously bizarre. I've been on the force for years and I've never seen anything like it. Me neither. How does someone get this unlucky? You think it's actually bad luck?
Or
You think they maybe did something to deserve it? They looked at each other, then quickly shook their heads. They were officers of the law, men of science and reason. They absolutely, definitely, 100% did not believe in ghosts. But they also walked a little faster after that.
now.
Let's check in on the real ghost, shall we? I was lying on my couch at home. My couch. In MY house. Feeling absolutely fantastic. The police had come, asked their questions, and left satisfied. The key was in the drawer. The door had been locked and bolted from inside. There was literally zero evidence connecting me to the missing money. Because the evidence didn't exist in this dimension. It was sitting in a magical pocket universe that no police investigation in the history of mankind could ever discover. Try dusting that for fingerprints, officers. After lounging around for a bit, I realized my house needed some upgrades. It had the basics, but I deserved nice things now. So I went shopping, real shopping, with the money I'd inherited from the Liu family treasury. New bedsheets, new pillowcases, toiletries, a fresh sofa cover with cute throw pillows, a tablecloth for the table, fruit for the fruit bowl. Everything clean, everything new, everything mine. I stood in the middle of my redecorated living room and just smiled. Bright new sofa cover, plump little pillows, fruit sitting pretty on the table, fresh curtains catching the breeze. This was what freedom looked like. No Wang Shufan screaming about dishes. No Lu Manhwa grunting about money.
No pretending.
No performing. Just me, my space, and my future. As for the Liu family, let them figure it out. Let the ghost keep them company. I thought about Liu Qingming, the real one, the older brother, who actually died on the battlefield. The stupid one. The one his parents wished had died instead of his brother.
Well, he did die.
And they didn't even know it yet. Honestly, death might have been a mercy for that kid. Having parents like Wang Shufan and Lu Minghua, who openly wished you were dead so your brother could live, who favored the younger ones so blatantly it was practically a family policy. That's not a family. That's a vampire den. They don't love their children. They feed on them. I hope Liu Qingming gets a better family in his next life. One that doesn't treat him like a spare part. The next morning, I headed to Longting Street. Our shop. Our future. Su Qingshuang was already there, beaming like a sunrise in work clothes. Sorry I disappeared yesterday, I said. Family stuff. She waved it off immediately. Don't even worry about it. Look what I did while you were gone. I finished painting the rest of the walls all by myself. I'd done about 2/3 before my family emergency pulled me away. She'd knocked out the remaining third solo. The walls looked perfect, clean, fresh, ready for business. She hooked her arm through mine like we'd been best friends for decades, which, from my perspective, we had, and started updating me on the plan. I've already contacted the garment factory. First batch of clothes is in production. They're also making our clothing racks and display shelves, all according to your design. She pulled out her notebook. At this rate, the shop renovation will be done right when the inventory arrives. We should be able to open by the beginning of next month. This was actually faster than last life. Back then, I'd been genuinely devastated by Liu Zhoushan's death and spent weeks moping before throwing myself into work. This time, I'd shed my fake tears, collected my money, and showed up to work the next day like nothing happened. Grieving widow? Please. I'm a businesswoman. Actually, I said, leaning against our freshly painted wall, I was thinking for the grand opening, we should do a promotion. Maybe a 20% discount? Or a spend this much, save this much deal? Su Qingshuang's eyes widened. In my last life, we discovered these marketing strategies through years of trial and error. Discounts to get people in the door. Loyalty cards. Spending thresholds. Later, when the business was bigger, we'd introduced a prepaid top-up system, charge your account with a certain amount, and get bonus credit. It was genius. It made customers feel like they were getting a deal while guaranteeing us repeat business. I already knew which strategies worked and which flopped. 20 years of business experience crammed into the brain of a woman who looked like she'd never sold a thing in her life. That's brilliant, Su Qingshuang said, giving me a thumbs up so enthusiastic she nearly poked herself in the eye. You know what? Your brain is seriously impressive. The design sketches, the location choice, now marketing strategy? You're like a secret business genius, she paused, thinking. Actually, after the first batch of clothes is ready, come with me to the factory. I want her opinion on the designs before we launch. If you can think of improvements, let's make them now so opening day is absolutely perfect. I looked at this girl, this brilliant, generous, trusting girl who had literally died saving my life in another timeline, and felt that familiar ache in my chest. Last life, she handed me her designs and I just nodded along. This life, I was going to pour everything I had into making her vision a reality. Every piece of future knowledge, every marketing trick, every business insight I'd accumulated over 2 decades, it was all going into this partnership. Su Qingshuang was going to become the fashion designer she was born to be. And this time, nobody was taking her away from me. Not thieves. Not knives. Not fate. We were going to build an empire. And we were going to do it together. Su Qingshuang wasn't just impressed with me anymore. She was starting to look at me like I was some kind of business wizard who'd been sent from the heavens specifically to be her partner. And honestly, she wasn't entirely wrong. I had been sent from somewhere, just not heaven. More like the future. Via death. And rebirth. It's complicated. We spent the next few days turning that dusty old shop into something beautiful. Every detail, every corner, every little touch. We did it ourselves. Once the clothing racks and display counter arrived from the carpenter, we added the finishing touches. Little potted plants here, decorative flowers there, cute trinkets on the shelves. I'd bought materials and started making things by hand, tiny knitted dolls, little yarn keychains, miniature woven charms. The kind of adorable little things that cost almost nothing to make but make a customer's entire day when you toss one in their shopping bag for free. Su Qingshuang watched me crochet a tiny bunny in about 4 minutes, and her jaw practically unhinged. How are you this good? Your hands are like magic. In my last life, she and I had spent hours making these together. We'd figured out exactly which freebies made customers come back. Little woven animals were the sweet spot. Cheap to make, irresistibly cute, and they created this feeling of, oh, I got a little bonus with my purchase. Girls especially loved them. They'd come in for a blouse and walk out clutching a tiny yarn penguin, like they'd won the lottery. Here, let me teach you, I said, and we sat cross-legged on the shop floor, surrounded by yarn and fabric scraps, making little creatures like 2 kids at summer camp. This was what friendship was supposed to feel like. We nailed down the business details, too. Equal investment, equal ownership. I'd handle store operations and management, inventory, customers, displays, marketing. She'd handle design, sketching, fabric selection, working with the factory. Clean split.
No confusión.
After a few more days of decorating and obsessing over every tiny detail, the shop was done. We stood in the doorway and admired our work like 2 proud parents looking at their newborn. And the name? We'd gone back and forth on ideas, but when Su Qingshuang asked me what I thought, one phrase popped into my head immediately. UG. Please yourself, because in my last life, I spent every single day pleasing other people. My in-laws, my fake husband, society, everyone except myself. I forgot what it felt like to look in the mirror and think, this is for me. This life? Pleasing myself comes first. And what better way to do that than wearing clothes that make you feel incredible? The right outfit isn't just fabric, it's armor. It's confidence. It's walking into a room and knowing you look exactly how you want to look. Su Qingshuang loved the name. Said it was perfect. Said it captured everything they wanted their brand to be about. With the shop ready, it was time to visit the garment factory. Su Qingshuang was practically bouncing with excitement as she led me through the rows of sewing machines and fabric bolts. Look, the first samples are done. She pulled me around the workshop, showing me dress after dress, blouse after blouse. Her designs were good, really good actually. She had genuine talent, the kind you can't fake. But they were also a tiny bit behind the curve, just slightly too conservative, just slightly too safe. In my last life, these exact designs had launched our business with a whimper instead of a bang. Sales were lukewarm for months until Su Qingshuang started experimenting with bolder cuts and details. That's when things took off. Why wait months when I already knew the answers? I picked up a long dress and held it at arm's length. This is gorgeous. But what if we dropped the neckline just a tiny bit? Or added a small cutout here on the shoulder? Su Qingshuang tilted her head. I know everyone's pretty conservative right now, I continued, but a little hint of something unexpected, just a peek. That's what makes a dress go from nice to I need this. It's not about being revealing. It's about having a secret little design detail that makes the wearer feel like she knows something everyone else doesn't. I moved to the next piece. And this sleeve, if we taper it tighter at the wrist and slim down the body a little, it'll show off the figure without being obvious about it. Women want to look effortlessly elegant, not like they're trying. Next piece. This top? Add a small silk scarf detail in a contrasting color. It'll catch the eye from across the street. First impressions matter. You have about 3 seconds before someone walks past your shop window. I went through every single
piece.
Adjusting a hem here, suggesting a fabric change there, recommending a different button style, proposing a subtle pattern detail. Each suggestion was something Su Qingshuang had eventually figured out on her own in my last life. I was just fast-forwarding through months of trial and error. When I finished, the room was quiet. Su Qingshuang was just staring at me. My heart dropped. Oh no. Did I go too far? Did I just critique her entire collection in front of the factory workers? Am I the worst business partner in? Was that too much? I asked sheepishly. I feel like maybe I was being too. Are you kidding me? She grabbed my hands. Everything you just said was exactly what I was feeling, but couldn't put into words. She snatched up the long dress and started working on it right there, snipping the shoulder, creating a delicate cutout, then sewing tiny pearls along the edge. When she held it up, the transformation was stunning. Same dress, same fabric, but now it had this subtle sophistication that made you want to reach out and touch it. That's it, she breathed. That's what was missing. We spent the next few days at that factory, refining every single piece. Tweaking necklines, adjusting silhouettes, adding those little secret weapon details that would make our clothes stand out from everything else on Longting Street. By the time we finalized the first collection, we were both exhausted and exhilarated. Su Qingshuang dragged me to the fanciest restaurant she knew to celebrate. Over steaming plates of food, she grabbed my hand across the table, eyes shining. I still can't get over how well we work together. We met because some idiot stole my wallet, and now you're basically my creative soulmate. She squeezed my fingers. Every single idea you have, it's like you're reading my mind. Like you already know what I'm thinking before I think it. You're not just a good partner, Qiangwei. You're my perfect partner. My chest tightened. Because she was right, in a way she'd never understand. I wasn't reading her mind. I was reading her future. Every suggestion I made was something she'd eventually discover on her own. I just handed her the answers 20 steps early. Maybe, I said, keeping my voice light even though my throat was thick. We knew each other in a past life. Maybe we were best friends for years and years. I meant it as a joke. Sort of. Su Qingshuang actually stopped eating and thought about it. Chin in hand, eyes distant. Genuinely considering the possibility. You know what? She said finally. I think you might be right. There's no other explanation for why this feels so natural. We must have been friends in a past life. She grinned and raised her cup. To past lives, then. And to making this life even better, I clinked my cup against hers and smiled. You have no idea how right you are, Qingshuang. And I promise, this life will be better. For both of us.
No naives. No sieves. No tragic endings.
Just two best friends building an empire. Again. Our shop was almost ready, and I was on a roll. Okay, here's what we do for opening day, I said, leaning forward like a general planning an invasion. Buy one, get one socks. Tiered gifts, spend a little, get cute socks. Spend more, get one of our handmade yarn dolls. It makes people want to hit the next spending level just to get the better freebie. Su Qingshuang was nodding so fast, she looked like a bobblehead. And, I continued, we need to think about complete outfits. Find a good shoe factory and get matching shoes made. If a customer sees a dress on the rack, that's nice. But if she sees the dress, the shoes, the whole look put together, that's when she opens her wallet and her soul leaves her body. Qiangwei. Su Qingshuang grabbed my arm. Your brain. How is it so big? How do you come up with this stuff? I want your brain. Can we trade? Stop, I laughed, pushing her away. If you keep inflating my ego like this, I'm going to grow a fox tail and jinx everything. She was exactly like this in my last life too. A brilliant businesswoman in public, an excited golden retriever puppy in private. No matter what I suggested, she'd react like I'd just invented fire. It was impossible not to love her. We figured out shoe styles together over lunch. Now, here's my unfair advantage. In my last life, I'd outlived Su Qingshuang by over a decade. During those years, fashion had exploded. New trends every season, magazines everywhere, styles evolving at light speed. I'd absorbed all of it. I knew what worked, what flopped, what was coming next. So when I suggested specific shoe and outfit combinations, I wasn't guessing. I was pulling from a decade of future fashion knowledge, served up casually like it was just good. Instincts. Since opening day was only a few days away, we didn't have time to custom order shoes, so we went out and bought ready-made pairs that matched our outfits. Smart, practical, and when you put them together with the clothes.
Chef esquisse.
2 days before the grand opening, we went into full war preparation mode. We cleaned the shop again, because a speck of dust was now a personal insult, and started hanging the merchandise. These clothes were our babies. Every single piece had been designed by Su Qingshuang, then refined based on my suggestions, read, future knowledge, then personally supervised at the factory by both of us. Nothing on that rack existed anywhere else in the city. I ran my hand along a row of dresses and felt this warm buzz of pride in my chest. I have a feeling, I said, that once we open, business is going to be really good. Su Qingshuang looked up from a hanger, eyes a little uncertain. You think? Honestly, I'm kind of nervous. My mom's been in business forever, and I want to prove I can do this too. I want to be a strong businesswoman like her. You will be, I said firmly. Your mom is incredible, which means business is literally in your DNA.
And you've got me. Together?
We're unstoppable. Her whole face lit up like someone had plugged her into a power outlet. You're right. Let's do this. I'm going to make my mom so proud. We hung every piece of clothing with military precision. Summer dresses here. Casual tops there. The back room became our mini warehouse, shelves organized, inventory sorted, backup stock ready to grab the second something sold out.
Oh.
Did the mannequins arrive? I asked. Coming now. A 3-wheeled delivery cart pulled up outside, and we practically sprinted to the door. The delivery guy hauled 2 mannequins inside, positioned them where we wanted, collected his money from Su Qingshuang, and left. They were actually really nice mannequins, 2 different poses, 2 different vibes. We dressed the first one in our star piece, the red dress. The one with the subtle shoulder cutout and the little pearls along the edge. The dress that Su Qingshuang and I had transformed together at the factory. It looked stunning on the mannequin, elegant, modern, with just enough of that secret detail to make you look twice. The second mannequin got a breezy summer top paired with white cropped pants and white sneakers beside it. Casual, fresh, effortless. 2 completely different styles flanking our entrance, sending a crystal clear message. Whatever your vibe, we've got you covered. Come inside. Su Qingshuang threw her arm around my shoulders and looked me up and down appraisingly. Tomorrow we're both wearing outfits from the store. Your body is going to sell so many clothes. You're basically a walking advertisement. I pinched her waist. Excuse me, your figure is the one that's going to turn heads. Hey. Stop that. We dissolved into giggles and ended up chasing each other around the shop like two teenagers, laughing and shrieking until we were both drenched in sweat and collapsed into chairs, gasping for breath. Once we recovered, I got serious for a minute. I counted our gift inventory. We've got about 100 gift sets ready, socks and accessories combined. Should be enough for opening day, and there's backup stock in the warehouse if we run out. Su Qingshuang patted my hand gratefully. Having you as a partner has made everything easier. If I tried to do this alone, I'd still be painting the walls. I smiled but didn't respond. Some things are better felt than said. We'd already agreed to keep some clothes from each collection for ourselves. Perks of ownership.
Free wardrobe and free advertising.
Every time we walked down the street, we'd be living mannequins for our own brand. 2 birds, 1 fabulous stone. Then Su Qingshuang said something that made me tense up. Oh, and if you have any friends who want to come by, I'll give them a discount. Friends. I chose my next words very carefully. Besides you, I don't really have friends. And if anyone shows up claiming to be my friend, or my family, or anyone connected to me, asking questions, asking for discounts, asking for anything, treat them like scammers. Ignore them completely. My voice was harder than I intended, because I was thinking about Wang Shufan. That woman was desperate, broke, and scheming. Sooner or later, she'd figure out where I was. She'd come sniffing around. She'd try to sweet-talk Su Qingshuang, play the poor mother-in-law card, maybe even try to claim she had some right to my business.
Over my dead body.
Well, over my dead last body, technically. Su Qingshuang caught the shift in my tone. I saw her eyes flicker with curiosity. She wanted to ask what had happened, who I was running from, what kind of hurt was hiding behind that warning. But she swallowed every question. That's Su Qingshuang. She knew when to push and when to wait. If I wanted to tell her, I would. And when I was ready, she'd be there to listen. We did one final inspection of the shop. Every rack straight, every price tag visible, every gift bag ready, mannequins perfect, then locked up and headed to dinner. We ordered our favorite dishes and, for the first time, a little bottle of wine. Su Qingshuang raised her glass with a grin that could light up a whole city block. To us, clink. I took a small sip and, for a second, the world went blurry. Not from the alcohol. From the memories. Because in my last life, we'd done this exact same thing. Clinked glasses, celebrated, dreamed big after hitting our first major milestone. Same smile. Same warmth. Same girl. But last time, I didn't know how precious these moments were. I took them for granted. Thought there'd always be more dinners, more celebrations, more time. There wasn't. This time, I memorized everything. The way the light caught her glass. The way she laughed with her whole body. The way she squeezed my arm when she got excited about the future. We walked home arm in arm through streets glowing with colorful lights, planning world domination one clothing rack at a time. So I live at the second address now, I told her. You can forget the first one. She looked at me sideways. I could see the questions piling up behind her eyes like cars at a traffic jam. But she held them all back and just nodded. When you're ready to tell me, you'll tell me. I squeezed her arm a little tighter.
Soon, Qingshuang.
I'll tell you everything soon. Just not the parts about being reborn and having a magical pocket dimension. A girl's gotta keep some secrets. We parted ways at the intersection that night. Su Qingshuang heading home, me heading to my glorious Wang Shufan free paradise. Now I didn't witness this part personally, but Su Qingshuang told me later. So picture this. She bounced through her front door grinning like she'd just won the lottery. Her dad, Su Zhendong, was sitting on the couch reading the newspaper. Total classic dad move. And he looked up over his reading glasses. Why does my little Shuang look so happy? Good news. This man remembered everything about his daughter's life. Every detail. Every plan, every dream. When she mentioned wanting to open a shop weeks ago, he'd filed it away like a librarian. That's apparent. Take notes, Wang Shufan. Su Qingxuang flopped onto the opposite couch and erupted. She told him everything about me. The design sketches, the marketing ideas, the wall painting, the business plan, the shoe pairings, all of it. She was talking so fast her dad probably only caught every third word. She sounds incredible, he laughed. Is, Dad. She's like my soulmate but for business, he smiled warmly. Well, once you two get things going, bring her over for dinner. I've never heard you talk about anyone like this. Su Qingxuang paused. Wait, really? I've never praised someone this much. Sweetheart, the only stories you brought home as a kid were about which boys you beat up for bullying girls. Dad. We agreed not to talk about that. He laughed so hard the newspaper shook. Meanwhile, I was back at my own place, starfished across my warm, sun-dried bedsheets like a happy lizard on a rock. No cramped little room at the Liu house. No Wang Shufan banging on my door at dawn. No Liu Manhwa grunting about money. Just me, my big bed, and sweet, delicious freedom. I washed up, lay down properly, then popped into my space for a quick check. Still empty. Still barren. Still just a big bald patch of nothing with my stolen goods piled in the corner like a dragon's hoard. I scratched my head. How did the farmland appear in my last life? What triggered it? Was it time-based? Emotion-based? Did I need to do a secret dance? Sacrifice a chicken? Solve a riddle? Nobody was answering. The space just sat there, being unhelpfully empty.
Cool. Great.
Very informative. Thanks for nothing. Magical pocket dimension. Whatever. Problem for another day. Opening day. Su Qingxuang and I showed up to the shop looking like we'd stepped out of a fashion magazine. We were both wearing outfits from our own collection, walking, talking, breathing advertisements. Her in a sleek top and pants combo, me in one of our fitted dresses. We looked good. We looked like two women who knew exactly what they were doing. We lit the firecrackers. Bang, 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 pop, pop, pop. And just like that, UG was officially open for business. Out front, we'd set up a little chalkboard with our opening day deals written in big, colorful letters. Grand opening. 20% off everything. Spend level 1. Free pair of cute socks. Spend level 2. Free accessory of your choice. Spend level 3. Pick a free item from our special rack. We also set up a megaphone blasting our promotions on repeat. Classy? Maybe not. Effective? Absolutely. But honestly, we barely needed the megaphone. The shop itself was doing the selling. People walking by would slow down, glance at our window display, see that red dress on the mannequin, the one with the subtle shoulder cutout and the pearl details, and their feet would just carry them inside like they were being pulled by an invisible force. The first customers of the day were two young girls, just strolling by for a casual morning browse. One of them spotted the window and dragged her friend in. Just a look. Famous last words. Within seconds, Girl 1 was in the fitting room trying on a floral dress, and she came out glowing. The cut on this is insane. You have to try something on too. Girl 2, a little on the curvy side, immediately shrank back.
No, no.
If you think it looks good, I'll just buy one too. I don't need to try it on. I could see it in her eyes. She'd been to other shops. She tried on clothes in front of salespeople who thought she couldn't see them smirking behind their hands. She'd been made to feel like her body was the problem, not the clothes. That made my blood boil. You should definitely try something on, I said gently. Then I walked over to the rack and pulled out a specific combination. A relaxed short-sleeve top and a flowing long skirt. Pieces I'd specifically chosen because I knew they'd flatter a pear-shaped figure. Try these. The two girls disappeared into the fitting room. I could hear whispering and rustling for about 15 minutes. Then Girl 1 pulled her friend out by the hand.
And OH.
The transformation. The long skirt skimmed over her hips beautifully, the fitted top showed off her waist, and instead of looking like she was trying to hide inside her clothes, she looked balanced, graceful. She stared at herself in the mirror like she was seeing a stranger. A really pretty stranger. You know, I said casually, leaning against the counter, you've actually got a really great neck. It's long and elegant. If you pulled your hair up into a high ponytail instead of wearing it down, you look even more striking. Girl 1 was bouncing up and down. I told you. I've been telling you. The curvy girl couldn't stop looking at herself. Her eyes were actually getting a little misty. I didn't think I could wear something like this. Most people just haven't found the right clothes yet, I said. It's never about changing your body. It's about finding what works with it. They ended up buying 2 outfits each. Hit the spending tier for free yarn gifts. I handed them each a little crocheted flower I'd made, and they clutched those tiny things like they were made of gold. As they left, I heard girl 1 say, "We are never shopping anywhere else. And I'm telling everyone about this place." That right there? That's how you build a business. Not just selling clothes, making people feel seen. The morning was steady. Every group that wandered in ended up trying things on, and once they tried something on,
Sold.
the clothes were too good. The cuts were too flattering. The prices, with the 20% discount, were too reasonable to walk away from. Then the afternoon hit. All those morning customers had gone home, told their friends, told their co-workers, told their neighbors. Word spread through the city like wildfire. New shop on Longting Street. Gorgeous clothes. Styles nobody else has. 20% off. People started pouring in. All 3 fitting rooms had lines. Su Qiangwei and I were running around like headless chickens, greeting customers, suggesting outfits, giving styling advice, ringing up purchases, restocking shelves, wrapping gifts. We didn't hover or pressure anyone. If someone wanted to browse, we let them browse. If someone wanted help, we were right there. We forgot to eat lunch. Actually, no, we had 0 time to eat lunch. By afternoon, I'm pretty sure my stomach had filed a formal complaint with my brain. The rush didn't slow down until around 8 p.m.
8.
We'd been going non-stop for nearly 12 hours. When the last customer finally left, Su Qiangwei and I collapsed into our chairs like 2 deflated balloons. She grabbed 2 cups of water, handed me one, and we both just sat there, gulping water and staring at the ceiling. "So," she said between sips, "you called it." "Called what?" She gestured at the shop, the half-empty racks, the messy fitting rooms, the depleted gift basket. "You said the business would be good." "It wasn't good, Qiangwei. It was amazing." I grinned so wide my face hurt. "That red dress alone sold 2 or 3 pieces today. Your design improvement," she pointed at me. "The cutout, the pearls, that was all you." I leaned back, exhausted, starving, feet aching, and happier than I'd been in 2 lifetimes. Day 1 of UG. Smashing success. And this was just the beginning. Every single style we made, only 3 sizes. 3 pieces per size. Once they're gone, they're gone. Scarcity is the ultimate sales weapon. Nothing makes a woman swipe her wallet faster than hearing, "This is the last one." We'd already submitted our second batch of designs to the factory. The machine was rolling. Su Qiangwei was still gushing about my genius contributions, and I had to physically stop her before her compliments inflated my head so big I couldn't fit through the shop door. "Your designs are the foundation," I insisted. "I'm just adding sprinkles to your cake." Without the cake, sprinkles are just sad little dots on a plate. She threw her arm around me.
Fine.
Joint credit. Team effort. "Now let's go eat because I'm about to pass out." We locked up, stuffed our faces at our usual restaurant, and went home. I collapsed onto my beautiful, spacious, Wangshufen-free bed and just lay there for a solid 10 minutes, staring at the ceiling with a stupid grin on my face. Day 1. Crushed it.
Now,
Let me tell you what was happening on the other side of town. Because while I was living my best life, the Liu household was experiencing what I can only describe as a slow-motion apocalypse. No compensation money.
no savings, no furniture.
No daughter-in-law. No friends. No hope. Their entire food supply had been reduced to a small pot of rice. And I mean small. Like, is this rice, or is this water that saw a grain of rice once from across the room? Small. Lu Minghua did the math and realized if they cooked it as actual rice, they'd get half a bowl each. So they stretched it into the thinnest porridge known to mankind. More water than rice. More sadness than water. They rationed it carefully. A sip here, a sip there, making it last. Then Wang Shufen woke up in the middle of the night, stomach screaming like an angry cat, and snuck out to drink more porridge. Just a little. Just a tiny bit. Barely anything. By morning, Lu Minghua looked into the pot, and did a double take. Wasn't there more than this last night? Wang Shufan suddenly found the ceiling very interesting. I might have had a little. She drank half their remaining food supply in a midnight snack raid. The woman who refused to share 500 yuan with me couldn't even share porridge with her own husband. What are we going to do? Wang Shufan wailed.
Bang, bang, bang.
Someone was hammering on their door like they were trying to break it down. Wang Shufan nearly jumped out of her skin. Who's banging? She screamed at the door. The banging continued. She stomped over and yanked it open. Standing there was a neighbor, one of the ones she'd borrowed money from. The woman was clutching her own shirt nervously. Shufan, my husband's been sick. I need to buy him some meat. That 5 yuan I lent you. Can I get it back? This neighbor had been thinking about it all night. Originally, Wang Shufan had promised that Qiangwei, would pay her back. But now I was gone. And if Wang Shufan decided to skip town too, that 5 yuan would vanish just like everything else in that cursed house. Wang Shufan's face went through the 5 stages of grief in about 2 seconds, then landed firmly on anger. Where am I supposed to get money? We were robbed. Even the compensation money is gone. We can barely eat. The neighbor fired right back. Maybe heaven took that money because it couldn't stand watching you two treat Qiangwei so badly. You brought this on yourselves. OH. The neighbor went there. Right for the jugular. I don't care about your excuses, the neighbor continued. I said you have 5 days. Pay me back or I'm going to the police and reporting you for refusing to repay a debt. And if you don't have cash?
Fine.
You've still got beds in there. I'll take those. Should be worth 5 yuan. She spat on the ground and marched off. Wang Shufan slammed the door so hard the walls shook. But wait, the fun wasn't over. She barely had time to sit down before another knock came. This time it was her good friend, the one she'd borrowed 2 yuan from. Shufan, I need that 2 yuan back. My daughter is in the hospital. She's very sick. The doctors say she needs surgery. OH, please, Wang Shufan snapped. Your daughter was fine last week. You're just making this up to squeeze money out of me. The friend's face went from pleading to nuclear. My child is dying in a hospital bed, and you're calling me a liar? You have 2 working hands and 2 working legs. Go get a job like a normal person instead of sitting in this empty house feeling sorry for yourself. She demanded her money by tomorrow, then stormed off. Wang Shufan was standing in the doorway, shell-shocked, when person number 3 showed up. This one didn't even want money. She wanted the clay jar back, the one I'd borrowed from her to cook porridge in. Since I was gone, she wanted her property returned. Because, and I quote, what if you two keep it and I never see it again? So they took the jar. The one cooking vessel they had left besides a cracked pot.
Gone.
3 visitors. 3 humiliations. In the span of about 45 minutes, Wang Shufan sat down, grabbed her hair with both hands, and just screamed. Their stomachs growled in harmony. No food. No money. No cooking pot worth using. No friends left to borrow from. The entire neighborhood had put up an invisible force field around the Liu household. Nobody wanted to get close to the family that was either cursed, haunted, or just cosmically unlucky. Lu Manhwa, who had been hiding in the bedroom through all 3 confrontations like the brave, courageous man he was, finally emerged. Maybe we should go find jobs. I swear, I felt a disturbance in the universe when he said that. Somewhere, a pig flew. Hell froze over. Pigs skated on hell's frozen surface. Lu Manhwa, the man who hadn't lifted a finger in years, just voluntarily suggested employment. Wang Shufan was too beaten down to even argue. But she had one last illusion to cling to. Let's find jobs first, and then ask the boss if they can pay us our salary in advance. Lu Manhwa stared at her. You haven't worked a single day yet, and you want them to pay you before you start? He shook his head slowly. What boss on this planet would give you money before you've done anything? Wang Shufan opened her mouth.
Closed it.
Opened it again. For once in her life, she had absolutely nothing to say. And somewhere across town, lying on my big comfortable bed in my clean, warm house, with a successful business, a best friend, a magical pocket dimension full of treasure, and not a single unwashed dish in sight. I slept like a baby. Karma isn't fast. But when she arrives, she brings her whole crew. Wang Shufan actually considered the advanced salary scheme for a solid 30 seconds before Lu Minghua's words sink in. You could see the light bulb flickering behind her eyes, struggling, sputtering, and then finally turning on.
Oh, right.
Nobody would do that. Congratulations, Wang Shufan. You've discovered basic economics. Only took 60 years and complete financial ruin.
So, off they went to the bank.
Their last hope. And the bank, after checking their IDs, verifying Lu Qingming's military records, and probably staring at them with a mixture of pity and disbelief, agreed to lend them
30 yuan.
30
whole yuan.
You'd think they'd won the lottery. Wang Shufan's eyes practically turned into little yuan signs. They rushed to the market and started buying essentials: a new pot, bowls, utensils, basic supplies. Every single purchase made Wang Shufan wince like she was being physically stabbed. Do we really need chopsticks? We're going to eat with our fingers? 10 yuan gone just on kitchen basics. Wang Shufan looked like she was attending a funeral. Her own funeral. Then came the job hunt. And what a magnificent disaster that was. Day 1, they went out looking for work, and this is the key detail, they wanted something easy, something not too tiring, something that would basically pay them to exist. Shockingly, nobody was hiring professional couch sitters. Every place they tried turned them down. Too old. No skills. Can't do anything useful. What can you do? Well, we can.
Sit.
And eat. And complain. Next. They didn't even dare buy lunch. One steamed bun each, eaten while walking between rejections. The mighty Wang Shufan, who used to strut around the neighborhood bragging about her military sons, was now shuffling through the streets with a sad bun in one hand and crushed dreams in the other. Day 2. They lowered their standards. No more easy work. Now it was anything that won't literally kill us. And finally they found it. A cleaning and odd jobs gig. The boss looked them over like a farmer inspecting slightly wilted vegetables and offered his terms. Lu Minghua, 18 yuan per month. Wang Shufan, 20 yuan per month, because she was younger and moved faster. Combined income, 38 yuan. Minus the bank loan repayment.
Minus rent.
Minus food. They were basically working to survive and surviving to work. The hamster wheel of life, spinning at full speed, going absolutely nowhere. Of course, Wang Shufan still tried to get an advance on their salary. The boss's face went from friendly to suspicious, so fast you could hear the record scratch. If you want advance pay, try somewhere else. They backpedaled so hard they nearly fell over. No, we were just asking. Forget we said anything. We love this job. Best job ever. When do we start? And just like that, the two people who spent years sitting at home while I cooked, cleaned, and worked my fingers to the bone for them were now scrubbing floors and hauling trash for 18 and 20 yuan a month. How's that retirement plan working out? Wang Shufan. Meanwhile, on MY's side of town, life was beautiful. Our opening day had been a smash hit, and the momentum carried into days 2 and 3. After that, things settled into a steady rhythm, not explosive, but consistent. Every day, customers came in. Every day, money went into the register. For a brand new shop with zero reputation, that was excellent. Su Qingshuang and I weren't worried. We understood the game. Fashion retail isn't about one big bang. It's about building trust. People buy a dress, wear it, get compliments, tell their friends. Those friends come in, buy something, tell their friends. It's a snowball. Our job was to keep making that snowball bigger. We fell into a perfect routine. I ran the shop: sales, customer service, displays, inventory. Su Qingshuang split her time between the shop and the factory, designing the next season's collection. Every new batch of sketches, she'd bring to me first. We'd sit together, heads bent over her drawings, tweaking necklines and adjusting hemlines until every piece was perfect. Then she'd go to the factory to create the prototypes while I held down the fort. We were a machine. A well-oiled, beautifully dressed, unstoppable machine. Back at Vampire Manor, the old couple was learning what real work felt like for the first time in their miserable lives. They dragged themselves home every evening. Wang Shufan would somehow scrape together dinner on her aching legs, and they'd collapse into bed like 2 sacks of exhausted potatoes. The first couple nights, they still had enough energy to trash-talk me before sleeping. That Gu Qiangwei. Heartless. Ungrateful. When is Qingming coming home? Useless older son. But after a few days? Nothing. They'd hit the bed and instantly flatline into unconsciousness. Too tired to even be petty. Working-class exhaustion had defeated Wang Shufin's legendary complaining ability. I'd call that progress. Then, about a week into their new working lives, something happened that changed everything. Wang Shufin tweaked her back at work, because of course she did. The woman had the physical conditioning of a wet napkin, and the boss sent her home early. On her way back through the compound, the mail delivery guy flagged her down. Letter for the Wang family. She took the envelope, stared at it, turned it upside down, turned it right side up again, and realized she couldn't read a single word on it beyond the most basic characters. 20 years of her daughter-in-law handling all the reading and writing, and now she couldn't even open her own mail. She tossed it on the table, bought some back pain medicine for 0.8 yuan, which she resented with every fiber of her being, rubbed it on her back, and waited for Lu Minghua to come home. That evening, after dinner, she handed him the letter. Some kid delivered this. What's it say? Lu Minghua looked at the envelope, saw the name on the return address. His eyes went wide. He ripped it open, read the contents, and then he grabbed Wang Shufin's hand so tight she yelped. What are you doing, you crazy old man? Just tell me what it says. But Lu Minghua wasn't talking. He was looking around the room frantically, checking corners, checking windows. Then he whispered, close everything. Now, Wang Shufin, sensing the intensity, scrambled to shut every window, every door. They retreated into the bedroom like 2 spies about to exchange classified intelligence. What does the letter say? She hissed. Lu Minghua took a breath. Remember how they told us Zhou Shan died? Wang Shufin's brain immediately went to ghost mode. Oh no. Is the ghost writing letters now? Can ghosts use the postal service? Is the haunting escalating? Lu Minghua saw the terror in her eyes and quickly grabbed her arm.
No, listen.
The one who died was the older brother. Qingming. The ashes they brought us? Those are Qingming's. Zhou Shan is alive. He's the one in the hospital. They think he's Qingming because he's been using Qingming's identity. He wrote us this letter to tell us the truth. Wang Shufin's face went through approximately 47 emotions in 3 seconds. Horror, confusion, disbelief, processing, still processing, and then pure, unfiltered, shameless joy. Really? You're not lying to me. Why would I lie about this? It's right here in the letter. Zhou Shan is alive. And not only is he alive, he got promoted. He's a platoon leader now. Wang Shufin's hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes filled with tears, but these weren't grief tears. These were celebration tears. Her baby boy was alive. Her favorite was alive. The smart one, the clever one, the one she'd pinned all her hopes on, he'd survived. And the dead one? Just the older brother.
The dumb one.
The one she'd openly wished had died instead.
Well.
Wish granted, Wang Shufin.
Wish.
Granted. Now, I wasn't there for this little revelation, obviously. But I knew exactly when it would happen because it happened in my last life too. And I knew exactly what came next. The grief?
Gone.
Overnight. Like flipping a switch. The mourning? Over. I can't mourn someone you didn't really care about. The tears?
Dried.
Replaced by scheming eyes calculating how to exploit their surviving son's military promotion. In my last life, I watched this transformation happen and thought, wow, they're so strong. They've accepted their loss and moved on with such grace. Now I knew the truth. They weren't strong. They weren't graceful. They were just 2 heartless vampires who found out their meal ticket was still alive. The older son, the real Lu Qingming, died on a battlefield protecting people who mattered. He died a hero. And his own parents' reaction to learning it was him in that ash box? Relief. That it wasn't the other one. Some families, I swear, make vampires look cuddly. So while I was over here building a fashion empire, the Lu household was having a very different kind of revelation. Remember that letter Wang Shufin couldn't read? The one she tossed on the table like junk mail? Turns out it was from her dead son. You know, the one whose ashes were sitting in a box on their shelf. The one whose ghost they'd been begging to return their money.
Yeah, that guy.
Writing letters. Because he was alive. Lu Minghua read that letter and nearly had a stroke from excitement. He grabbed Wang Shufin's hand so hard she probably lost circulation, dragged her into the bedroom, sealed every window like they were about to discuss nuclear launch codes, and finally explained, the one who died was Qingming, the older brother. The ashes we have. Those are his. Zhoushan, our boy, is alive. He's been living as Qingming this whole time. Everyone thinks he is Qingming. And get this, he got promoted. He's a platoon leader now. Wang Shufin's reaction was, well, exactly what you'd expect from Wang Shufin. Did she mourn the older son, who actually died? Did she shed a single tear for Lu Qingming, who gave his life on the battlefield?
Ha ha ha. No.
She squealed with joy, slapped her thigh, but this time from happiness. Her baby boy was alive. Her favorite. The smart one. The golden child. And the dead one? Just the spare.
The dumb one.
The one she'd openly wished had died instead. And look at that. The universe delivered exactly what she ordered. These people. But then, and this is the part that made me want to reach through time and slap someone, Wang Shufin's business brain kicked in.
Wait.
If Zhoushan is alive, then his marriage to Qiangwei is still valid. We can drag her back and make her take care of us again. Oh, Wang Shufin. You beautiful, predictable, endlessly scheming cockroach. Lu Minghua shut that down fast though.
No.
Listen. Zhoushan says in the letter that he's met a commander's daughter. He's pursuing her. If Qiangwei finds out he's alive and goes looking for him, it'll blow his cover and ruin his chance with a commander's daughter. The commander is the one who got him promoted. If Zhoushan marries this girl, he'll have the commander as his father-in-law. He could make captain, major, maybe even colonel. Wang Shufin's eyes glazed over as she ran the calculations. Her mental abacus was clicking at light speed. Commander's daughter equals powerful father-in-law equals more promotions equals more money equals better life for them. Versus Gu Qiangwei equals one girl who can cook and clean equals maybe 20 yuan a month. The math wasn't even close. You're right, she nodded vigorously. Forget Qiangwei. She's yesterday's rice. Our boy is going to marry into power. Then, without missing a single beat, she pivoted to the next scheme. Write him back. Tell him we're broke. Tell him the compensation money disappeared. Ask him to send us his salary. This woman's son had just faked his death, stolen his brother's identity, and was now romancing a commander's daughter under false pretenses, and her first thought was, great, now how do I get money out of this? Lu Minghua wrote the letter. They sealed it up and both sat there grinning like two cats who'd just cornered a very fat mouse. Our boy's going to be somebody, Wang Shufin cooed. Paizhong now, Yingzhong next, then who knows? And that Gu Qiangwei? Walking away was the best thing she ever did for us. She was a jinx, a broom star. Everything went wrong the minute she showed up. Oh, I'm the jinx? I'm the problem? The woman who cooked your food, cleaned your house, and was willing to devote her entire life to your ungrateful carcasses. She's the curse? Meanwhile, your precious son is out there identity thefting his dead brother and trying to marry his way into power. But sure, I'm the bad guy. She'll be stuck making 20 yuan a month for the rest of her life, Wang Shufin cackled. While we're going to be living in a golden nest. Oh, Wang Shufin, if only you knew. Let me tell you about MY Week. I sat down with the books and calculated our first week of sales. Total revenue, over 300 yuan. 300. In 1 week. Opening day was the biggest, but that was with a 20% discount eating into our margins. After that, we settled into a steady rhythm of about 15 yuan per day. Not explosive, but solid. At that rate, we were looking at 400 to 500 yuan per month in revenue, with a healthy profit margin after expenses. That's more money in a week than those 2 vampires would earn in months of scrubbing floors. But I wasn't resting on my laurels. Summer was fading, which meant it was time to think about fall inventory. And this is where my 2 lifetimes of knowledge advantage really kicked into overdrive. We should design transitional pieces, I told Su Qingshuang one afternoon. Light cardigans, knit shawls, things women can wear in both spring and fall. It doubles the wearing season, which makes customers feel like they're getting more value. She was already nodding. And I continued, grabbing one of our unsold summer dresses and draping a long light jacket over it. We pair the new fall pieces with leftover summer inventory.
See?
Same dress, totally different vibe. This way we clear out summer stock while promoting the new collection. Su Qingshuang's jaw dropped. That's genius. We're not just selling fall clothes. We're giving people a reason to come back and reimagine what they already bought. Then I went for the big one. The move I'd been waiting to make. Also, I think we should design bell-bottoms. Silence. In this era, everyone was wearing straight-leg pants. Boring, predictable, same. But I knew from living in the future that bell-bottoms were about to explode. The big cities down south were already starting to wear them. Wide legs, high heels underneath, walking down the street looking like a movie star. If we could be the first shop in our area to carry bell-bottoms, we wouldn't just catch the wave, we'd be the wave. And for our Qiangwei customers, I added, let's do high-waisted cuts. Raise the waistline, elongate the legs, pair with a long wool skirt for fall. Flattering on every body type, Su Qingshuang didn't even respond. She just grabbed her sketchbook and started drawing. Right there in the shop. Furiously sketching new designs while I talked, her pen flying across the page like it was possessed. She was in the zone. My suggestions had lit a fire under her creative instincts, and she was running with it, adding her own twists and flourishes that I never would have thought of. That's why we were such a good team. I brought the market knowledge. She brought the artistic vision. While she sketched, the shop bell jingled. Customer. I looked up and recognized her immediately, the girl from opening day. The one who'd brought her curvy friend and bought 2 outfits each. Sister, remember me? She winked. Opening day. You and your friend. 2 outfits, 2 yarn flowers, she beamed. Today I'm shopping for my mom and my future sister-in-law. My brother's getting married. I went into full personal stylist mode. I didn't just ask about sizes, I asked about their heights, body types, skin tones, hairstyles, whether they wore makeup. The girl looked at me like I was some kind of fashion detective and happily spilled every detail. I picked out 2 complete outfits for her mom and 2 for the sister-in-law, summer dresses layered with light fall jackets. Practical, beautiful, season-bridging perfection. Then she paused, touched her chin thoughtfully, and said, Actually, give me 2 more sets for my sister-in-law. She's been really good to my brother. They went through hard times together. She deserves something nice. My heart warmed.
See?
Good people exist. People who appreciate the ones who stuck by them through tough times. Unlike certain in-laws I could mention. She paid without blinking, grabbed her bags, and flashed me a grin at the door. Next time, I'm bringing all my friends. Just you wait, sister. I waved goodbye and looked over at Su Qingshuang, who was still hunched over her sketchbook, surrounded by a growing pile of design pages, completely lost in creative flow. Our first repeat customer. Our first word-of-mouth ambassador. The snowball was getting bigger. Wang Shufan thought I was a 20 yuan a month kind of woman. Honey, I made more than that before lunch today. After our repeat customer left with bags full of clothes and a promise to bring friends, Su Qingshuang and I finalized the fall collection designs and sent them off to the factory. I'll be at the factory for the next few days doing prototypes, she said. You hold down the fort. Consider it held. Now, here's where my future brain really went to work. I didn't just order regular fall clothes. Oh no. I had Su Qingshuang rush produce a batch of thin autumn cardigans. Not heavy winter stuff, just light enough to layer over our summer dresses. This way, we could move the leftover summer inventory by repackaging it as fall outfits. Summer dress that didn't sell? Throw a cute cardigan over it.
Boom.
New product. Full price. I also had her make a small batch of leather jacket sets, and this was my secret weapon. I introduced styling concepts from years into the future. Bright-colored knit sweaters tucked into black mini skirts. Knee-high boots with patterned tights. Bold, eye-catching, absolutely nobody else in the city was doing anything like it. When the new mannequins went up in the window wearing these outfits, it was like we'd installed a tractor beam. Women walking by would slow down, stop, stare, and then get magnetically pulled through our door like iron filings to a magnet. Even our competition couldn't resist. The girl working at the clothing store across the street came over just to look. 20 minutes later, she was walking out with a bag, checking over her shoulder to make sure her boss didn't see. "Please don't tell my boss I bought clothes from the competition," she whispered, clutching her bag like contraband. "Your stuff is just so much better than ours. We've been selling the same boring styles for months." I smiled sweetly. "Your secret's safe with me." Then, and this was the real trophy, the boss herself showed up. She walked in with that classic, "I'm just doing reconnaissance" energy, arms crossed, evaluating eyes, trying to figure out our secret sauce so she could copy it. But I know how to handle people like this. I didn't give her time to think. I just started handing her clothes to try on, one outfit after another. Each one perfectly selected for her body type, her coloring, her style. "Try this one. Oh, and this would look amazing on you. What about this color? It really brings out your eyes." She tried on 5 or 6 complete outfits. Each time she looked in the mirror, I could see her resolve crumbling. She came to spy. She was going to leave as a customer. After about 30 minutes, the dam broke. She bought all of them, every single outfit she'd tried on, paid full price, walked out carrying multiple bags. Then she got halfway across the street, looked up at her own shop's sign, stopped dead, and muttered to herself, "How did I just spend that much money at my competitor's store?" She shuffled back to her shop looking bewildered, bags of our clothes dangling from both hands. Her own employee didn't dare make eye contact. Su Qingshuang arrived just in time to catch the tail end of this masterpiece. She watched the rival boss walk into her own shop carrying our bags and turned to me with her mouth open. "Did she just buy from us 5 or 6 outfits? The owner of the store across the street bought your clothes. What can I say? Good fashion knows no loyalty." She set down the box of shoes she'd brought, custom-ordered from a shoe factory to match our outfits, and just stared at me with that look. The "you're either a genius or a witch" look. We arranged the shoes under the corresponding outfits on display, complete looks head to toe. When a customer saw a dress they liked, they also saw the perfect shoes right below it. The whole outfit, ready to walk out the door. No guessing, no wondering, what do I wear with this? Just point, pay, and look incredible. Sales strategy? More like sales witchcraft. After the fall collection dropped, our daily revenue jumped to 50 yuan. 50 per day. That's compared to the 15 yuan daily average we'd settled into with summer clothes. I did the math at the end of the month and nearly fell off my chair. Our total revenue was, well, it was a lot. Even after deducting rent, materials, factory costs, and all other expenses, we had genuine, real, honest-to-goodness profit. Enough to split between us and still feel like we'd accomplished something remarkable. Su Qingshuang held up her share of the first month's earnings like it was an Olympic gold medal. "We actually did it. Our first month. We made money." She was practically vibrating. "It's not a fortune, but this is our first business. Our first month. And we're already in the green." My started from nothing too, and look where she ended up. She grabbed my hands. "You have to come to my house for dinner. My parents keep asking about you. My dad says he's never heard me talk about anyone like this, and my mom wants to meet the genius business partner I won't shut up about, her parents." My brain immediately conjured 2 faces. Her mother, the successful businesswoman who'd inspired Su Qingshuang's entrepreneurial spirit, and her brother, the brother, Su Qingshuang's older brother, the military captain,
Tall.
handsome, the kind of guy who fills out a uniform so well it should be illegal. In my last life, Su Qingshuang had tried so hard to set us up. She was about as subtle as a brick through a window. "Oh, my brother happens to be visiting. Oh, you two should sit next to each other. Oh, look, he's single and you're single, what a coincidence." And the thing was, I'd been interested. A little flutter here, a warm feeling there. He was genuinely kind, genuinely good, and the way he looked at me sometimes made my stomach do that flippy thing. But I'd said no, because I was the world's most devoted widow. Because I thought taking care of my lying, scheming, vampire in-laws was more important than my own happiness. Because I was an idiot. I turned down a tall, handsome, successful, genuinely good man. For Wang Shufan and Lu Minghua.
For Wang
Shufan
and Lu
Minghua. If there's a stupidest decision hall of fame somewhere, my portrait is hanging in the lobby with a spotlight on it. This time, I wasn't making any promises. But I also wasn't slamming any doors shut. If Su Qingshuang's brother showed up at that dinner table looking all tall and captainly and kind.
Well,
A girl can keep her options open, can't she? I smiled at Su Qingshuang. I'd love to meet your family. Just tell me when. Her eyes sparkled. And I could swear I saw the gears of matchmaking already starting to turn behind that mischievous little grin. Here we go again, Qingshuang. But this time, I might just say yes. You know what kept me up at night sometimes? Thinking about my last life. About where all my money went. I'd work myself half to death, hand my earnings over to the in-laws, and somehow the money would just evaporate.
Gone. Poof.
Like it had wings. I used to think they were just bad with finances. Turns out, they were funneling everything to Lu Zhoushan, their precious baby boy who was secretly alive and apparently had a wife and 2 kids that I didn't know about. So while I was living like a monk, scrimping and saving, those 2 vampires were taking my hard-earned cash and shipping it straight to their golden child's secret second family. I was basically funding an entire household I didn't even know existed. The audacity. The sheer, unfiltered, weapons-grade audacity. But you know what? Dwelling on the past was a waste of perfectly good brain cells. I had a business to run. And business? Business was booming. After our first month's earnings came in, I sat Su Qingshuang down for a strategy session. We still had leftover summer inventory sitting in the back room, and dead stock is dead money. Time to get creative. We're launching a loyalty program, I announced. Su Qingshuang tilted her head like a curious puppy. What now? Prepaid membership. Customers deposit money with us up front. We track it in a ledger. They get perks based on how much they deposit. I could see the confusion on her face, so I broke it down. Deposit 50 yuan? You're a member. Everything's 5% off from now on, plus we throw in a free accessory, a little scarf, a belt, something cute. Deposit 100 yuan? 5% off plus a free summer outfit from our leftover stock. Su Qingshuang's eyes were getting wider with every sentence. The customer feels like they're getting an amazing deal. We clear out old inventory without marking it down to embarrassing prices. And we get a chunk of cash up front that we can reinvest into winter production immediately. I paused for dramatic effect. Plus, and this is the sneaky part, once someone has money deposited with us, they're psychologically locked in. They'll keep coming back because they've already paid. And they'll spend faster than normal because somewhere in the back of their brain, they're thinking, what if the shop closes? I better use my balance. Which makes them buy more, which makes them deposit more, which creates an endless cycle of, you're a genius, Su Qingshuang interrupted, grabbing my shoulders and shaking me. An actual evil genius. I prefer strategically gifted. We launched the program the next day. And it went off like a rocket. Our loyal customers came flooding in. Remember that girl from opening day? She showed up with her MOM and her sister-in-law, and all 3 of them deposited 100 yuan each. Then they called their friends, who called their friends. In one day, we had 30 to 40 people sign up. Most of them at the 100 yuan tier. That's nearly 4,000 yuan in prepaid deposits. In a single day, our summer stock melted away like ice cream in July. Every member got to pick a free summer piece, and since they were already in the store, most of them also bought fall items using their new member discount. Double win.
Triple win.
Win, 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 win. We ran that promotion for several days straight, and by the end, our summer inventory was basically gone. No more dead stock. No more clothes gathering dust in the back room. Everything converted into cash and customer loyalty. With the war chest replenished, it was time to think about winter. Winter clothes cost more to produce, I told Su Qingshuang. Thicker fabrics, more material, higher factory fees. So we need to be smart about this. We design our own coats and inner layers. That's our bread and butter, our unique designs that nobody else has. But for down jackets, we import from the south. There are factories down there that specialize in duck down and goose down filling. Light as air, warm as a furnace. Nobody up here has seen anything like them. Su Qingshuang's mom, the legendary businesswoman, helped us connect with suppliers in the south. Within weeks, we had a small shipment of down jackets that were so light and puffy they looked like wearable clouds. Fall transitioned into deep autumn. Our autumn collection sold beautifully, members burning through their balances, new customers walking in daily. Then winter arrived, and we swapped the mannequins into our winter showcase. One mannequin wore a sleek, fitted wool coat. The other wore a cloud puff down jacket in a gorgeous color.
2 vibes.
2 price points. Both irresistible. The coats were around 50 yuan each, not cheap, but our designs were so flattering that women would try one on, look in the mirror, and basically refuse to take it off. I'd watch their eyes in the mirror, the moment of, oh, I look amazing, and I knew the sale was done. The down jackets? 120 yuan and up. In this era, that was luxury money. But they were unlike anything available in our city. When women put one on and felt how light it was, how warm, how different from the heavy, bulky winter coats they were used to, their wallets opened by themselves. We bumped the membership tiers up accordingly. The new VIP level was 500 yuan deposit for a 10% lifetime discount. And our loyal customers? They went for it, without blinking. I kept innovating. Every few weeks, a new little surprise for our regulars, a handmade gift here, an unexpected discount there, a personalized styling session for their special occasions. Nothing huge, just enough to make every customer feel like she was our favorite customer. Winter deepened. New Year approached, and buying season went nuclear. Everyone needed new clothes for the holidays. Every woman in the city wanted to look her best for family dinners, reunions, and celebrations. Our shop was packed from morning to night. I was personally styling 15+ customers a day, matching coats to scarves to boots to personalities. Then one afternoon, I was wrapping up with a customer when a sleek black car pulled up right outside our door. The door swung open and out stepped Su Yan, our biggest whale. This woman had deposited over 1,000 yuan with us. She was elegant, wealthy, drove her own car, and had impeccable taste. She was the kind of customer who didn't check price tags because price tags were beneath her. Sister Yen, I called out, walking to greet her. That red coat we set aside for you is still here waiting. She turned around and hold on. I did an actual double take. When did you get your hair done? I gasped. Those curls are gorgeous. Get inside immediately, sit down. Tell me everything. Where did you go?
Who did it?
I need a name, an address, and possibly a blood oath that they'll do mine next. Su Yan laughed, that rich, warm laugh of a woman who knows she looks good and enjoys being told so. Your mouth is sweeter than candy, little Qiangwei. Now show me that red coat. See, this is what Wang Shufan never understood. She thought I was a 20 yuan a month kind of woman. A broom star. A jinx who brought nothing but bad luck. Meanwhile, I was out here running a fashion empire, cultivating VIP clients who spent more in a single visit than Wang Shufan earned in a month of scrubbing floors, and building the kind of life she could only dream about while sitting in her empty, ghost-haunted house. But sure, Wang Shufan, keep telling yourself your golden boy Lu Zhoushan is going to marry a commander's daughter and save you. While you're waiting for that fairy tale ending, I'll be over here, actually living one. Su Yan settled into the chair like a queen taking her throne and flipped her gorgeous, new curls. I need a few more outfits to take down south. Work your magic. Sister Yen, you're spoiling us, I teased. Aren't the clothes in the south supposed to be even better? She waved her hand dismissively. I trust your taste more than any southern boutique. Now stop talking and start picking, so I did. I pulled together several complete looks. Some I'd specifically set aside for her, because when you have a VIP client who drops 1,000 yuan without blinking, you learn her preferences. Her size, her colors, her style, her moods. I could dress this woman blindfolded at this point. She barely even tried things on anymore. She'd hold up whatever I picked, nod approvingly, and toss it onto the buying pile. We'd reached that level of trust where she basically outsourced her entire wardrobe to me.
See?
Never wrong, she said, pointing at me. Not once have you missed. Then she grabbed a few extra outfits in different sizes. These are for my friends in the South. Sister Yan, your friends are so lucky to have someone who buys them clothes from another city. Can you adopt me? I want to be your friend too. She laughed and pulled out a little gift bag. Speaking of which, I brought you something from down south. Just a little trinket. Don't get too excited. I was still holding the gift, mouth slightly open, when she dropped the real bomb. Oh, and top me up. Another 1,000 yuan. My mother's going to come by in a few days too. I told her about your shop. Take care of her for me. 1,000 yuan. Just like that. Like she was ordering a cup of tea. That's a lot, I stammered. She looked at me like I'd said something adorable. You're running a business, sweetheart. Take the money, pack my bags, and stop being surprised. I processed her deposit, wrapped everything up, and walked her to her car. The black sedan pulled away, and I stood there. On the sidewalk holding a gift I hadn't even opened, trying to process the fact that a single customer had just casually dropped a month's worth of some people's salary on a top-up. But I didn't have time to process anything, because the moment I walked back inside, more customers flooded in. Word had apparently spread. Maybe Su Yan's car pulling up to our humble shop had given us some kind of luxury endorsement, because everyone who walked in that day was in a spending mood. Deposits were flying in like confetti at a parade. 200 yuan here.
500 yuan there.
300, 500, 200. Every single customer wanted the membership deal, wanted the discounts, wanted the free seasonal pieces. I was running around the shop like a caffeinated squirrel, picking outfits, recording deposits, wrapping gifts, giving style advice, restocking racks, and I completely forgot to eat. By the time Su Qingshuang showed up that evening, I was surrounded by a battlefield of tried-on clothes, empty hangers, and gift-wrap scraps, still buzzing with adrenaline and running on zero food. Please tell me you ate today. Define ate. Qiangwei. I had. Water? Does water count? She dragged me away from the register, and we tallied up the day's deposits together. 3,000
yuan.
In one day. Just in deposits. Not counting regular sales. Su Qingshuang held up the cash and made a sound I can only describe as a money-induced squeal. Then she grabbed my arm and hauled me out the door for a feast because apparently she didn't trust me to feed myself anymore.
Fair.
Our little shop on Longting Street was turning into a gold mine. And we were just getting started.
Now,
let me take you to a completely different scene. Because while I was out here building an empire, let's check in on our favorite identity-thieving deadbeat husband, shall we? Cut to a military base somewhere far away. Platoon Leader Lu. Mail for you, Lu Zhoushan, Lu Qingming, strolled over to the guard post and collected his letter with a smug little smile. He liked being called platoon leader, made him feel important. Made him feel like stealing his dead brother's name was worth it. He opened the letter from Daddy Dearest and started reading. And then his face went through a journey. The house was robbed clean. Confusion. All the furniture? Everything? More confusion. The 500 yuan compensation money also disappeared. His brain made the Windows error sound. And Qiangwei left? And here is where I need you to pay very close attention to this man's thought process. Because it is a masterpiece of audacity. Did he think, oh no, my wife is struggling alone. I should worry about her? Did he think, maybe I should feel guilty about faking my death and abandoning her? Did he think, perhaps the woman I married under false pretenses, using my dead brother's identity, deserves some basic human consideration?
Nope.
His actual thought was, and I quote from the depths of his garbage soul, Qiangwei is no good. The second she heard I was dead, she packed up and left. Clearly not a loyal woman. I'm not loyal?
I'm not
loyal. The man who stole his brother's identity, who married me while pretending to be someone else, who is currently trying to seduce a commander's daughter while I'm technically still his wife. This man had the nerve, the absolute, unmitigated, galaxy-brained nerve, to judge MY loyalty? If hypocrisy were an Olympic sport, Liu Zhoushan would have more gold medals than the entire Chinese national team. But wait, it gets better. His parents had written asking for money. And Liu Zhoushan, big shot platoon leader, future son-in-law of a military commander, the golden child who could do no wrong. How much did he have to send them? Almost nothing. His platoon leader's salary was pathetic. His bonus for the mission where his brother died protecting people? A whopping 10 to 20 yuan. And he'd already spent 5 yuan buying a hair clip for the commander's daughter on their last date.
5 yuan.
On a hair clip for a woman he was pursuing with a stolen identity, while his parents were starving. Let me do the math on the Liu family's brilliant master plan. Wang Shufan and Liu Minghua's income from scrubbing floors, 38 yuan per month. Liu Zhoushan's contribution, maybe 20-something yuan, sent reluctantly. Combined, barely enough to survive. My income, more than 3,000 yuan flowing through my shop in a single day. But sure, Liu Zhoushan, I'm no good. I'm the problem. I'm the one who's not loyal. You keep chasing that commander's daughter with your borrowed name and your 5 yuan hair clips. I'll be over here, running a business that makes more money before lunch than you'll see in a month, sleeping in MY house, eating whatever I want, and not losing a single second of sleep over any of
you.
He scribbled a quick letter back to his parents, scraped together whatever coins he could spare, mailed it off, and then, naturally, went to ask the commander's daughter if she wanted to see a movie. Because priorities. The Liu family, where the men are frauds, the women are schemers, and the only honest person who ever walked through their door had the good sense to rob them blind and leave. You're welcome, universe. I'm doing your job for you. Meanwhile, at Vampire Manor, the mailman showed up with a letter from their precious golden boy. Now, the neighborhood situation had gotten even worse for the old couple. Word had spread that they'd borrowed money, claimed they couldn't pay it back, and then somehow had money to buy food. Everyone in the compound thought they were lying, scheming cheapskates, which, to be fair, was completely accurate. The neighbors had basically formed a silent pact. Nobody talks to the Liu family unless absolutely necessary. They'd gone from haunted house status to social pariah status. Even the mailman didn't want to linger. He handed the letter to a neighbor, who passed it to them at arm's length like it might be contagious. But Wang Shufan's eyes lit up the second she saw that envelope. This was it. The golden ticket. Liu Zhoushan's paycheck. Surely their newly promoted platoon leader son had sent them a fat stack of cash. If there's enough money in here, we can quit our jobs. Wang Shufan was practically salivating. They were so excited that Liu Minghua insisted on building suspense. Let's eat dinner first. Save the best for last. Wang Shufan cooked at record speed. They inhaled their food. Then she ripped open that envelope, and flop. 5 yuan fell out.
5
yuan. Wang Shufan stared at those bills like they'd personally insulted her ancestors. 5? He's a platoon leader and he sent 5. Liu Minghua grabbed the letter and read the details. Then he let out a sigh so deep it probably registered on seismographs. He says his previous salary was basically nothing because he was just a regular soldier. The promotion bonus wasn't much either. His new platoon leader pay just started and he needs to keep most of it because, dramatic pause, he's spending money courting the commander's daughter. Now, any normal parents would have paused here and asked some hard questions. Like, son, should you really be pursuing a woman using a dead man's identity? Or, is this perhaps a terrible idea that will blow up in everyone's faces? But these are the Liu family parents, the ones who raised scheming to an art form. So instead of concern, their reaction was, oh, well, he does need money for dating. Can't catch a big fish with cheap bait. If he marries the commander's daughter, we'll never have to work again. This 5 yuan is a sacrifice. An investment in our future. They were literally funding their son's identity fraud romance like it was a startup. Yes, please use our grocery money to buy hair clips for a woman you're deceiving. We believe in your vision. Wang Shufan did the math. 5 yuan was nothing. Their combined salaries were barely keeping them alive. Something had to change. What if we take on night shifts too? She suggested. There's a cleaning gig that pays 1 yuan per session. We could scrub floors during the day and mop buildings at night. Lu Minghua, the man who, just weeks ago, thought getting a job was beneath him, now agreed to work 2 jobs. Dawn to dusk and dusk to midnight. The transformation was complete. The couple who'd spent years sitting at home while I waited on them hand and foot was now working themselves to the bone for 38 yuan a month plus night cleaning shifts plus whatever scraps their con artist son could spare. And they were happy about it. Because somewhere out there, Lu Zhoushan was buying 5 yuan hair clips for a commander's daughter, and in their minds, that was as good as a retirement plan. Meanwhile, at Qiangwei's wildly successful fashion empire, the holiday season hit, and we went nuclear. First move, I had Su Qingshuang design an entire line of red clothing. Red dresses, red coats, red tops, red everything. Because in this culture, red means luck, prosperity, and celebration. And what does everybody want for New Year?
Luck.
Prosperity. Celebration.
In red.
Those red pieces flew off the racks so fast we could barely keep them stocked. Women were buying them for themselves, for their mothers, for their sisters, for their daughters-in-law.
It was a red tsunami.
Second move. End-of-year clearance blowout. We pulled out every piece of leftover summer and fall inventory, plus a batch of quality surplus pieces that Su Qingshuang's mom had sourced from southern factories at rock bottom. Prices. We set up a big table outside the shop, piled it high with clothes, hung a massive sign, year-end clearance sale, and I grabbed that trusty megaphone. People swarmed. It was like throwing meat into a piranha tank. The genius of this strategy was layered. The clearance stuff drew massive foot traffic to our door. But once people were there, they'd peek inside the shop and see the gorgeous, new holiday collection. So they'd buy cheap stuff from the clearance rack and expensive stuff from inside. Double revenue stream from a single crowd. Customers were asking about the clearance pieces they didn't recognize, the ones from the southern factories. Smart shoppers, touching the fabric, checking the quality. So I gave them the honest pitch. These are from partner factories we work with. We've personally inspected the quality. It's comparable to our regular line. They're just past season styles, which is why the price is so good. Think of it as our way of saying thank you for a great year. That line worked like magic.
People trust honesty.
They could feel the fabric was good. And thank you gift from the shop sounds a lot better than we're trying to dump inventory. Su Qingshuang and I worked like absolute maniacs those last few days before the holiday. Opening at dawn, closing well past dark. Some nights we'd look up from the register and realize we hadn't eaten since breakfast. We'd stumble to a restaurant, inhale food like vacuum cleaners, stumble home, and pass out, only to do it all again the next day. But the numbers? The numbers. Every day was better than the last. The clearance sale was a hit. The red collection was a phenomenon. Membership deposits kept rolling in. Winter coats and down jackets were still selling strong. By the time we finally closed up shop 2 days before New Year's, we'd had our best month yet. By far. We sat in our empty, beautifully disheveled shop. Hangers everywhere, tissue paper scattered like confetti, the clearance table picked almost clean, and just breathed. We'd done it. Our first full business cycle, summer, fall, winter. And not only had we survived, we'd thrived. The spring collection was already designed and ready for production. The moment the holiday ended, we'd reopen with fresh inventory and ride the momentum straight into the new year. Su Qingshuang turned to me as we were locking up.
So,
what are your plans for New Year's? I shrugged. Just me and my kitchen. I'll make myself a nice dinner, maybe drink a little, enjoy the quiet. No big deal. I said it casually, but there was a little sting behind it. Last life, I'd spent every New Year cooking elaborate meals for Wang Shufan and Lu Minghua. Setting up the table just right, buying them gifts, making everything perfect. And they'd eat, burp, and go to bed within an hour, leaving me to clean up alone. I never actually enjoyed a single holiday. They were just more work days with fancier food. So, yeah, spending it alone didn't bother me much. At least alone, I could eat what I wanted, sit where I wanted, and not wash a single dish until I felt like it. But Su Qingshuang looked at me with those warm, bright eyes and said the words that made my chest go tight. Come to MY house for New Year's. 6 words. That's all it took. 6 words, and suddenly the holiday didn't feel lonely anymore. It felt like the beginning of something. A real family, not the blood-sucking kind, but the kind you choose. The kind that actually wants you at their table. Su Qingshuang's family. Her wonderful dad, who remembered everything. Her legendary businesswoman mom. And maybe, just maybe, a tall, handsome military captain brother who happened to be home for the holidays. I smiled. I'd love that. Su Qingshuang grabbed my arm and went full puppy dog mode. Come to my house. My parents have been dying to meet you. My mom says anyone who could make our business this successful must be beautiful and kind-hearted. She was literally swinging my arm back and forth like a 5-year-old begging for ice cream. We've been partners for months now. We're best friends. What's scary about spending New Year's at my place? Okay. I laughed. I'll come. Stop shaking my arm before it falls off. Her face lit up like a firework. Mission accomplished. Our last day before the holiday was pure chaos. We'd bought bags of sunflower seeds and candy, and every customer who walked in got a handful with their purchase. Just a little Happy New Year touch. Cost us practically nothing, but made people so happy. I'm coming back next year for sure, one lady said, popping seeds into her mouth while clutching a shopping bag. Me too. Best shop on the street. The owner of the competing store across the road was standing in her doorway watching all this with an expression that can only be described as existential crisis. How do they keep coming up with new ideas? She muttered to nobody in particular. Every week it's something different. And it works every time. She tried copying our clearance sales strategy. Set up her own rack, her own discounts. Customers walked over, rummaged through her stuff for about 30 seconds, shrugged, and walked right back to US. The difference? Our clearance clothes were actually good. Su Qingshuang's mom had personally selected quality surplus pieces from southern factories. The fabric was real. The cuts were current. The prices were insane. Meanwhile, across the street, same boring styles they'd been pushing for months, now with a sale sign slapped on top. You can't put lipstick on a pig and call it a supermodel. By closing time, we'd cleared out almost everything. The racks were bare. The clearance table was picked clean. The stockroom was practically echoing. Everything was set for the spring collection launch the moment we reopened. We locked up and stood outside in the cold night air, breath making little clouds. I'll pick you up the morning of New Year's, Su Qingshuang said, squeezing my hand. And seriously, thank you for everything. All those ideas, all that work. This year was amazing because of you. It was amazing because of US. I corrected her. Your designs, my schemes. 50-50, remember? She laughed, hugged me, and we went our separate ways. I got home, looked around my quiet little house, and felt peaceful. Not lonely. Just peaceful. I puttered around for a while, cleaned, organized, arranged some things, then crashed into bed. The next morning, I went on a shopping spree. But not for myself. I bought decorations for my house. Some red paper cutouts, festive hangings, anything that screamed, Happy New Year. Then I loaded up on fresh fruits, premium vegetables, snacks, and most importantly, several fancy gift boxes. Because there was no way I was showing up to Su Qingshuang's family home for New Year's empty-handed. That's not how Qiangwei operates. Not in this life. Not in any life. You invite me to dinner? I'm bringing enough gifts to furnish a small temple. I made myself a quick bowl of noodles for lunch. Nothing fancy, just fuel, and started organizing everything for tomorrow. Now let me tell you what was happening at the Su household, because it was basically the opposite of every family scene I'd ever experienced with the Lu clan. Su Qingshuang burst through her front door. Qiangwei's coming for New Year's. Her mother, He Xiaolan, the legendary businesswoman herself, looked up from her fashion magazine, because of course, she was reading a fashion magazine. This woman breathed style, and smiled warmly. Wonderful. I've been wanting to meet the girl who's been helping my daughter become a real businesswoman. Her father, Su Jianbin, put down whatever he was doing and immediately started planning the menu. What does she like to eat? Does she have any favorites? Any allergies? I need details. Su Qingshuang pretended to pout. Dad, you're going to make me jealous. You never ask what I want. He laughed that big, warm dad laugh. I already know what you like, silly girl. That's why I need to find out what our guest likes. This man. This man. He cooked for his family. He supported his wife's career without an ounce of resentment. He remembered everything his daughter told him. He got excited about making a stranger feel welcome in their home. Compare that to Lu Minghua, who hid in his bedroom during confrontations, grunted at meals, and thought, let Qiangwei handle it, was a legitimate life philosophy. The difference between a real family and a vampire den had never been so crystal clear. The three of them sat together planning the holiday. What to buy, what to cook, how to decorate, how to make sure I felt at home. They were having an actual conversation about how to bring joy to another person's life. In the Lu household, holiday planning meetings consisted of Qiangwei, cook everything. Qiangwei, clean everything. Qiangwei, buy everything. Qiangwei, why haven't you washed the dishes? Then knock knock. Mail delivery. Su Qingshuang bounced to the door and came back waving a letter. She ripped it open, scanned the contents, and her face split into the biggest grin I'd ever seen. It's from my brother. He says he's coming home for New Year's. He'll be here on the day. Her brother. The captain. The tall, handsome, military captain who liked me in my last life. The one I turned down because I was too busy being the world's most loyal widow to two people who didn't deserve a dog's loyalty, let alone mine. He was going to be there. At dinner. Sitting across from me. On New Year's. Now, I didn't know this yet. I was at home innocently arranging gift boxes, but fate was about to seat me at a table with the man I'd rejected in my previous life, surrounded by the family that would become more of a family to me than the Lu clan ever was. He Xiaolan clapped her hands. Perfect. A full table this year. We'll need more food. More dishes. This is going to be wonderful. Su Jianbin was already mentally expanding the menu. Shrimp. We need shrimp. And I saw someone selling fresh ones at the market yesterday. Let's go first thing tomorrow. The next morning, the Su family descended on the market like a well-organized army. Meat, vegetables, shrimp, snacks, candy, sunflower seeds, pastries, window decorations, door couplets. They bought everything. Su Qingshuang even had them clean out the spare bedroom. Qiangwei might want to stay a few nights. She lives alone. She'd be all by herself otherwise. She thought of everything. She wanted me to feel safe, wanted included. Not because she wanted something from me. Not because I was useful. Just because she genuinely, truly cared. In my last life, I spent 20 years looking for this kind of warmth in the Lu family and never found it. Turns out it was right here the whole time. I just never let myself accept it. This year? This new year? For the first time in 2 lifetimes, I was going to spend the holiday with people who actually wanted me there. And yes, the captain was going to be there too. And yes, my heart was doing a tiny little flutter about it.
Sueme.
New Year's morning. Su Qingshuang showed up at my door bright and early, bouncing on her heels like a kid on Christmas. Qiangwei, let's go. I let her in and poured her some water while I finished getting ready. She sat down, sipped her drink, and then watched in horror as I started hauling boxes out of my room. What is all that? Gifts. For your family. I told you not to bring anything. We have everything at home. I fixed her with my most stubborn look, the one that had survived 2 lifetimes and the entire Lu family.
Su Qingshuang.
If you think I'm walking into your parents' house on New Year's Day with empty hands, you clearly don't know me at all. This is basic manners.
Non negociable.
If you make me leave these behind, I'm not coming. She opened her mouth.
Closed it.
Opened it again. Then sighed in defeat.
Fine.
But this is too much. We loaded everything into the car, boxes of meat, fruit, vegetables, snacks, fancy gift sets. It looked like I was catering a wedding, not attending a family dinner. But I didn't care. These people were about to become my real family. First impressions matter. We pulled up to the Su residence and Su Qingshuang honked the horn. The front door opened, and out came 2 people who made my heart clench, so hard I almost forgot how to breathe. Su Jianbin, her father. Tall, dignified, with this scholarly elegance about him, like a general who reads poetry in his spare time, which, knowing he was a high-ranking military official, wasn't far from the truth. And He Xiaolan, her mother, the legendary businesswoman. Sharp eyes, warm smile. The kind of woman who could negotiate a million-yuan deal at lunch and host a dinner party by evening without breaking a sweat. Looking at them standing there in their doorway, I felt my eyes sting. Because in my last life, after Su Qingshuang died saving me, these two incredible people had shown up at my door. And instead of screaming at me, instead of blaming me, instead of hating me for being the reason their daughter was gone, they'd held my hands and said, "She chose to protect you. That's who she was. We don't blame you." I had to shove that memory down before it swallowed me whole. Deep breath. Smile. Game face. Uncle. Auntie. I stepped out of the car with my sweetest voice, and Qiangwei was on me in a second. She grabbed both my hands like we'd known each other for years. "So you're Qiangwei. Xiao Shuang never stops talking about you. I've been wanting to meet you for so long." She pulled me close, all warmth and maternal energy. "You're home here, okay? Treat this place like your own house." From behind us, Su Qingshuang was yelling, "Dad, come help with the stuff." I told her not to bring anything, but she threatened to not come if I didn't let her. Su Jianbin and Qiangwei walked over to the car, looked inside, and their eyebrows shot up simultaneously. Boxes. Bags. Crates. Fruit, meat, vegetables, snacks. Gift sets. The whole trunk looked like a grocery store had exploded. "First time visiting," I said with a little bow. "Please accept these." "It's the least I can do." They exchanged one of those married couple telepathic looks, the kind that says, "Oh, we like this one." And then Qiangwei smiled, so wide her cheeks must have hurt. They practically carried me inside. Su Qingshuang showed me to the guest room, clean, cozy, right next to her own room, and I set my bag down. "Home for the next few days," she grinned. "Now come meet everyone properly." In the living room, Qiangwei immediately grabbed my hand and launched into business talk. This woman was sharp. She'd built her empire from the ground up when private business first became legal, and she had the kind of tactical mind that made me want to take notes. We talked strategy, market trends, supply chains, and she was genuinely interested in my opinions, not just testing me. It was like having a conversation with a fellow general instead of being interrogated by a suspicious mother-in-law. Wang Shufan could never. When it came time for breakfast, Su Jianbin headed for the kitchen with Qiangwei following to help. I rolled up my sleeves and marched in after them. "Auntie, let me do it." Qiangwei physically pushed me back out. "Absolutely not. You're a guest. Go sit with Xiao Shuang and watch TV." "But I am Gu Qiangwei. I've cooked for vampires for 20 years across 2 lifetimes. I do not take no for an answer in a kitchen." I walked right back in. "Please. I make really good food. Let me show off a little. If you don't let me cook something, I'll feel too guilty to stay." Qiangwei and Su Jianbin exchanged another look. This time it said, "She's stubborn." "I really like this one." Su Qingshuang popped up behind me. "Just let her, Mom. She'll stand in the doorway arguing for an hour otherwise. Trust me, I've tried." So they relented. Su Jianbin stepped aside like a gentleman yielding the stage, and I went to work. They planned something elaborate: stir-fried pork, mapo tofu, vegetable soup, and spare ribs. For breakfast. These people didn't mess around. I streamlined it. Stir-fried pork, tofu done my way, and a big hearty vegetable medley. Su Qingshuang helped, meaning she washed 3 vegetables and handed me a bowl, then basically stood there watching like she was at a cooking show. Food hit the table. Su Jianbin took 1 bite of the stir-fry, and his chopsticks froze. This is incredible." Qiangwei tried the vegetables next. Her eyes went wide. Su Qingshuang was already shoveling food into her mouth with both chopsticks going. Zero grace, maximum enthusiasm. "How?" she mumbled through a mouthful of tofu. "How are you good at everything? Business, design critique, wall painting, marketing, and now cooking? Are you even human? Are you some kind of government experiment?" I laughed so hard I almost choked on my rice. Qiangwei was nodding vigorously. "She's right. You really can do it all. The full package, boardroom and kitchen." Su Jianbin was too busy eating thirds to add verbal commentary, but his empty plate spoke volumes. After breakfast, Qiangwei went to wash dishes. I tried to follow. She blocked the kitchen door with her body. "House rule: whoever cooks does not wash. Non-negotiable." I tried to squeeze past. She held firm. This woman had negotiated with factory bosses and supply chain moguls. She was not going to be outmaneuvered by a 20-something with a dish towel. I surrendered. Su Qingxuang and I lounged in the living room while he Shilon cleaned up, and then she joined us for tea and more business talk. This woman's brain was a vault of industry knowledge. Every question I asked, she had an answer and 3 follow-up insights. In the afternoon, we started making dumplings for the New Year's dinner. I mixed several different fillings, pork and chive, shrimp and egg, vegetable and mushroom, and asked He Shilon to taste test. She took one bite of the pork filling, and her eyes went misty. This is perfect. You know who would love this? My son, Xiao Shuang's older brother. He's obsessed with dumplings. He's going to lose his mind over this filling. My hand stopped moving for just a second. Her brother.
Swingy.
A face materialized in my memory. Tall frame, broad shoulders, sharp jaw, kind eyes. The military captain who'd looked at me like I was the most interesting person in any room. The man who'd quietly, patiently made his feelings known. Never pushing, never pressuring, just being there. The man I turned down because I thought Wang Shufan's laundry was more important than my own happiness. He was coming. Tonight. To this house. To this table. Where I would be sitting, eating dumplings I'd personally seasoned. My heart did a little somersault, stuck the landing, and then did another one just for fun. I looked down at the dumpling filling and very carefully, very deliberately, added just a tiny bit more seasoning. If a man's heart is through his stomach, well, let's just say these were going to be the best dumplings he'd ever tasted. Not that I was trying or anything.
Just.
Good cooking habits. Totally normal. Nothing to see here.